All right, let's get right into it then. Yo, this is Set with Set Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're about to get into Trump delivering remarks to the world leader, and then we got to complete a media analysis of the Gaza peace plan and more. Appreciate the support, guys, but let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video. All right, let's get straight to it.
Wow, I didn't expect that. Let's go home. There's nothing more I have to say. Goodbye, everybody. That was really beautiful and beautifully delivered. Wow, thank you very much. Also with us is President Prabowo, a very incredible man of Indonesia. President, come in. Great job. President Abbas of Authority. See, we have them all. We have them all. Good, great. It's good to have you. And so many others. I have a list here.
I mean, he has all the Arab nation, damn near all of the Arab nation leaders, and of course, all of the world leaders who are, who is speaking out for Palestine. They're also there as well. Like, you know, you got Canada, I think you got, of course, you got UK, and then you got Italy as well in the back.
This first three rows and what's standing behind me, I don't know why they chose to stand, but it's there. They're going to be very famous tomorrow, all of them. We have the Arab League is represented by His Excellency, and thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much. We have Armenia, and Azerbaijan. That's a little war that we stopped. That's a little war. There they are. Look at them. They're sitting. When I met with them, it was in the Oval Office. They fought for like 31 years or some crazy number. And they had one sitting on that side of the Oval Office, one sitting. By the time we finished in 1 hour, they were both hugging each other. And now they're friends and they're getting along great. Look at it. So I want to thank you both. That's incredible. Really incredible. So you have Armenia and you have Bahrain, you have Canada. It's so great to have.
Of course, Canada.
The president called and he wanted to know if it's worthwhile. He knew exactly what it was. He knew the importance.
But all right, though, let's go ahead and skip ahead from Trump's call out. Sorry there, guys, to his actual speech. But it was pretty impressive that he was able to, one, get all these conflicts solved, two, get the Arab nations in on this Gaza peace plan, and three, execute the Gaza peace plan in general. Like, man, thank God. Just execute, just on execution.
Greece.
Give him kudos.
We have Hungary. Oh, Victor. Where is Victor? Victor. We love Victor. Victor, I call him. You know, I put the little accent on it. You are fantastic, all right? I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but I'm the only one that matters. You are fantastic. He's a great leader. I endorsed him the last election he had, and he won by 28 points. So you're going to do even better this time. You have another election, and you're going to do great, and we appreciate it, and we're behind you 100%. That's Hungary. India is...
There we go.
I'm not allowed to say it because usually it's the end of your political career if you say it. She's a beautiful young woman. Now, if you use the word beautiful in the United States about a woman, that's the end of your political career, but I'll take my chances. Where is she? There she is. You don't mind being called beautiful, right? Because you are. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. She wanted to be here, and she's incredible, and they really respect her in Italy. She's a very successful politician. We have Norway. Norway.
All right. Now, what Trump is still doing roll calls for some wild reason, but yeah, let's be real here, guys. It is quite shocking that the left is not really trying to give Trump his kudos. Bro, two is that what they're trying to say. Oh, this is actually Biden's plan that he couldn't execute. So guess what? It's not his plan anymore. He couldn't execute it. He didn't even execute step one. So how was it his plan again? I thought so. And y'all can't prove it because he didn't implement it. And of course, three, I thought y'all was for world peace. I thought y'all was the pro-Palestine side. I thought y'all was more pro-Palestine than me, like river to the sea type guys. And they're getting peace. And now y'all want to find a new reason to be upset.
Norway. What happened, Norway? What happened? Where's Norway? Where is he? We have Johnny. We're going to the World Cup. I can tell you that. Where's Norway? I don't think he wants to stand. Oh, he's back there. Well, we have Norway. Oman, again. We have Paraguay. We have really fantastic representative from Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much. I'll tell you what, because what we've done is something very unique and very special. So it's perhaps the wealthiest and most powerful group of nations ever assembled at one time, which is a big thing. We have achieved together in recent days a change that really is historic, and it's going to be remembered forever. And I want to thank the American team for their amazing work, and I want to thank, I think he'll go down as the greatest Secretary of State in the history of our country. I really believe that, Marco, or I wouldn't say it. Marco Rubio, I wouldn't say it. Maybe I would. You're doing a great job. I'll tell you, he's on course to do it. We've done a lot of work in 9 months. We've done a lot of work. I say that, 1 year ago, a little more, but 1 year ago, America, the United States of America was was a dead country. The king told me, and I use that, he said, sir, 1 year ago it was a dead country. Today you have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and it is. It's the hottest country. So many investors are here. We have over $17 trillion being invested in the United States, which is a record that nobody has ever beaten. I don't think anybody will. And we still have 4 months to go before it's a year. So in 8 months, we have over 17 trillion. We're actually very close to $18 trillion. There's never been, as an example, the previous administration had less than $1 trillion over 4 years. We have.
And here's a blessing about it. While we're gaining investments, our competitors are, they're losing investment. I mean, China lost investment or lost a relationship with Pakistan. And then Russia. China stopped buying from Russia all of a sudden, and we're talking about their rare earth minerals. So that's also crippling them. So while we're gaining investments, our enemies are losing investments. And you know what, man? Today's a good day. Sorry about that. Left the audio a bit high on that one. Sorry if I blew your ears out. But shout out to my man Vlad Steen. He says, from the river to the sea is honestly a fucked up statement. Imagine others saying from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic, America will be no more. Man, that would be crazy. Yeah, that is crazy, because the whole from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm like, I thought they were talking about, we just want to be free from oppression. Yeah, when somebody was trying to say that, no, it actually meant they want to exterminate all Jews. I was like, yeah, no, we're not. We can't get down with that.
We're close to breaking $18 trillion in 8 months. That's pretty amazing. No country's ever done that. I want to also thank Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and my son-in-law and a great guy, Jared Kushner. And I even have my daughter here, Ivanka. Ivanka, please stand up. Ivanka's here. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Ivanka. We have a great team, and we have, as you know, General Raisin Kane. We have John Radcliffe. We have Tom Barrack. We have really a lot of good talent. We have Pete Hegseth, who's now Department of War as opposed to Department of Defense. We made a little change. Somehow I like the name better, so do you, so do a lot of people. But the momentous breakthrough that we're here to celebrate tonight is more than the end of the war in Gaza. It's with God's help, it'll be the new beginning for an entire beautiful Middle East. From this moment forward, we can build a region that's strong and stable and prosperous and united in rejecting the path of terror once and for all. We want to get rid of the terror and get on to other things. There are many other things in life that are so good. The final sprint to this deal began less than...
And speaking of getting rid of terror, phase 2, demilitarizing Hamas or, Gaza is a bit of a pickle, because it does seem like Hamas wants to be part of the Palestinians' military. Yes, Hamas pretty much stated that, look, we'll give back the hostages, but we want to be involved in Palestine's policing and military. And, that's a bit questionable right there. I don't know if we could trust him to do that. Lord knows I don't trust him to do it. So Hey, man, they can if their vetting is that solid, we'll see.
3 weeks ago on the sidelines of the United Nations in New York. I met with many of the people in this room, and it all just started coming together. I've known so many of you for so long. You're friends of mine. You're great people. I have a couple I don't like in particular, but I won't tell you who. I have actually a few of them I don't like at all, but you'll never find out who they are. Well, maybe you will, come to think of it. But I have most of you who I like a lot, and I respect a lot. Maybe that's more important. We listened, and we exchanged ideas, and we kept pushing forward until the job was done, and the first steps to peace are always the hardest. And today we've taken them, and we've put them all together, and we've come up with this beautiful mix like nobody thought was possible. And as you know, I've just come from Israel. It was an amazing day to watch the hostages come in and to watch all of the other things and do all of the other things that we did. And like all of us here this evening, the Israeli people are overjoyed that the war has ended. Many of you have had dancing in the streets. They had dancing in the streets. And
Yeah,
they've been
we all
dancing
happy.
for weeks now, once they heard about this and they heard that it was even a possibility. They're elated at the arrival of the hostages and excited to begin this new chapter for the entire region, and it's going to be that, and they are going to be great partners, and I hope everybody's going to join the Abraham Accord. I like to say
You know, like, and here's the thing: like, everybody in Gaza's happy, everybody around the world's happy. Shoot, damn near everybody in Israel's happy. And I use the word damn near is because the only people that's not happy is the Likud party in Israel, who said, yo, we're supposed to be taking over Gaza. Like, well, what you mean? We're trying to give them a we're trying to give them a pathway to citizenship or a pathway to governance themselves. Like, we can't do that. We're the Likud party. So we'll see if if the people of Israel can Loki stop the Likud party for what they want to carry out. Because what Bibi's saying that, look, as soon as we get the hostages back, we're going right back in Gaza. Hopefully Trump can stop that by just saying, hey, we're just not going to give you funding. And then hopefully Bibi just don't go balls to the wall and just start doing whatever. I mean, that's just going to prove a whole lot of my suspicions.
Avraham. I love Avraham, but somehow it doesn't sound as good when I say it as it does when some of my other friends say it who are from the region. But we're going to get a lot of people joining the Abraham Accords. We have the four great nations that did it early on, and they stayed with it. And then you had
Yeah, and shout out to my man Hellbait. He saw a lot of celebrations in both Gaza and Israel, but for some reasons, lefties in the U.S. isn't. I wonder why. Man, for you know, I think they lost a talking point, and I think now they kind of can't really say that Trump hasn't, really solved the major conflict. Now, like I said, there phase one, we got the hostages back, so they got to give credit for that. Now, phase two is getting Hamas to demilitarize. Hamas has already stated that they might not want to do that, and then people in the Likud party in Israel is stating that, well, once we get the hostages, we're gonna go in anyway. So, according to both sides, man, phase two might just have to be. You literally might have to have Trump come behind Bibi Netanyahu and put his hand behind his back and just threaten to meet the leader of Hamas again to blow them up. So once again, maybe he's gonna have to threaten Bibi, make a call to God Hamas, and get this phase two done. Because the way these guys are working right now, it doesn't seem like phase two is gonna happen. Or, well, I'm sorry, but the way they're talking.
the Biden administration, which is the worst administration in the history of our country, and obviously they did nothing on that and anything else. And so it stayed at 4, and now a lot of people, even today, they're talking about all joining up. So many people have talked to me about that, and it's going to be a great tribute to really the United States. I mean, the United States has worked very hard in the Middle East, so it would be a tribute to us and to Jared and to Steve and to all of the people, Marco, all of the people that have worked so hard on that. And it really is going to it's going to guarantee that it all stays together. You're going to do well, because the four nations do very well. I mean, they do extremely, as they're wealthy, but they're a lot wealthier because of it. So I hope everybody's now joining up. Now we have no excuses. We don't have a Gaza, and we don't have an Iran as an excuse. That was a good excuse, but we don't have that anymore. All the momentum now is toward a great, glorious, and lasting peace. And our commitment to fulfilling the 20-point plan we developed together will be the crucial foundation for achieving that bright future. And it's being worked on right now as we speak. And we're actually in stage 3 and 4. It's not going to be, just divided down so simply. We can be long advanced on some of the things that we say we're going to do. We can take them out of order in a positive way, and we've shown how it can be done with responsible nations like the people in this room, these incredible people in this room, setting aside their differences, seeking common ground, and pursuing a better world for all of us. In that spirit, it's my dream that we all get together and enjoy our life. And we're going to put some of you on the Board of Peace. Everybody wants to be on the Board of Peace. They said, would you be the chairman? I say, I'm pretty busy too. But whatever we can do to have peace in the Middle East, it's worth it. But everybody wants to go on the Board of Peace, so we're probably going to enlarge it. We're going to get, and the leaders, the top people, the top leaders, they want to be on the Board of Peace.
Actually, I believe they already announced who's going to be on the Board of Peace, but let me make sure. Let me make sure of that. I'll be right back with that one.
A beautiful term. At first, I wasn't sure, and then I realized how beautiful it is. And for the people of Gaza, the focus now must be on restoring the basics of a good life. We're going to have a lot of money coming into Gaza and a lot of rebuilding and building. It's not so much rebuilding, it's really building, cleaning up and building. And I'm pleased to announce that numerous countries of great wealth and power and dignity have come forward to me just today and over the last week to say they want to help in the reconstruction of Gaza, putting up whatever money is necessary. And the money is, of course, it's a lot of money, but it's not much compared to the value or the wealth of these tremendous countries, and they are ensuring stability and success in the Middle East. So when you think about it, it's a very, very small amount of money is necessary, relatively speaking. And as those commitments are made, I'm going to let the world know who is doing it, because they really deserve great credit for doing it, and they're going to do something that's really monumental. This is a monumental day. This is a monumental moment in the history of the world beyond the Middle East. We've all agreed that supporting Gaza must be done to lift up the people themselves, but we don't want to fund anything having to do with bloodshed, hatred, or terror, as has happened in the past. And for the same reason,
well, shout out to Trump for calling out, because he definitely did call out Israel. Well, I mean, I think it is Bibi and their regime that's pretty much trying to annex the West Bank, kick Palestinians out of there, and all that wild stuff. Like, they're literally trying to settle over there in the West Bank. And I mean, not much, nobody's really talking about it. I mean, I heard Trump mention it a couple of times, and that's fantastic. And then, of course, also even Trump has said it. It's been an overreaction to October 7th. Like I said, I understand. My heart hurts for the 12 to 1,500 that died, but 63,000 though, it's crazy.
We're also agreed that Gaza's reconstruction requires that it be demilitarized and that a new, honest civilian police force must be allowed to create a safe condition for the people in Gaza. As I said earlier, I intend to be a partner in securing a better future. We're going to be working, you're going to be working with the United States, and we're going to make sure that the Middle East is going to be a safe and secure place. It's a very important place in the world, means so much. There were so many people who said the Middle East, and this has been going for many, many decades. I've read it many times, that World War III will begin in the Middle East. It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. There was a time that you would have thought it could have, but it's not going to happen. There won't be World War III, hopefully at all, but it's not going to start in the Middle East. We're not going to have a World War III if we're smart. There'll never be a World War III. Our work begins right here and right now. From ancient times, this region has been extraordinarily mixed with respect to people, culture, religions, all of the different elements of national characters, unlike maybe anywhere else on earth. And for 3,000 years, there's been conflict. For whatever reason, there's been tremendous conflict, always conflict. But today, for the first time anyone can remember, we have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to put the old feuds and bitter hatreds behind us. And that's why so many people in this room,
we should try.
They didn't get along. Some did, some didn't, but they're getting along now. This has brought the people together. This is the first time the Middle East crisis has brought people together as opposed to driving them apart. and to declare that our future will not be ruled by the fight.
And believe it or not, like our support of Israel's oppression of the Palestinians is one of the reasons why a lot of Arab countries don't like us. I mean, Iran, Yemen, shoot. Honestly, all of them don't like it, and but there's a couple that we pay off, like Turkey and Egypt. But they secretly don't like it as well. But they're not as outspoken as Iran or Yemen is, and Lord knows Yemen don't like Israel. I mean, Jesus.
Of the generations past, which is foolish. So together, let us continue in the spirit of cooperation and goodwill that has finally brought us to this incredible, historic breakthrough. If we do together, we will reach the Middle East's incredible destiny, a safe and prosperous and beautiful crossroads of culture and commerce, faith in humanity and geographic center. This will be the geographic center of the world. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank you all for what you've done and for this quick notice. It all came together just at one little period. It just came together. It's the greatest deals happen that way. If you do anything about deals, that's all I've done all my life is deals. The greatest deals just sort of happen. And that's what happened right here. And maybe this is going to be the greatest deal of them all, not just nation.
Hey, and shout out TB. Hey, shout out sis. She's a member for 11 months, proud member for almost a year. Dang, it went by fast. Said, do you have a Venmo or Cash App? As always, thank you for bringing logic to the chaos. Man, I do not have a Venmo. I do not no longer have a Cash App. Who knows what happened with them? But I do not have a Venmo, but I'll get back to you on that one. I do appreciate the support, so shout out TB. Appreciate that. But on to the next video, where after Trump did this engagement, well, other engagements as well, but let's go ahead and go over to his engagement after this on Air Force One. And then we're going to go ahead and get to him addressing the Knesset, because that's also important as well, as what he also said too. Well, I believe that's Israel's version of a Congress. Well,
thank you very much. So this was really a historic day, to put it mildly. Wasn't it amazing? Even that last meeting, when you see the heads of those countries, those are serious countries. But I thought it was fantastic. And seeing the so-called hostages with those kids come back home the way their parents just went.
And there's a total of, I believe, 48 hostages. There's 20 alive, sadly 28 dead. But, those bodies will be returned. But I do believe that the 20 has been released. And, Israel's also kept up their part of the deal. They've also released people, some controversial people. I will be honest with you, very controversial people. But, hey, they kept up their part of the deal. So we'll see how things go from there.
Just went crazy. Your father would not be that way with you. Be okay, but he wouldn't be like that.
I would get a hug.
A hug. A minor hug, okay. Let's go. No, he wouldn't. I'm only kidding. So, how are you doing? Everybody okay? Everybody good?
I know.
How are you feeling?
I feel good.
And shout out to my man Vladstein. He says, why? He's like, yeah, that's a good point, though. So why don't the West Bank file for nationhood and name their country? I mean, bro, the conflict in there is so crazy, it just don't even make sense. And the maps does not recognize, it recognizes Gaza, but does not recognize the West Bank for some strange reason. But hey, they're taking it over, so why would they? And if it was always their plan to take it over, so hey, at least they got that, niched up. But when you look at a map of Israel, the West Bank is not drawn in its borders, which is true. But if you do look at if you look at the current map of Israel, you actually will see the West Bank drawn out. I mean, not on the world map, but I do believe on a current map of Israel, the West Bank is drawn out.
It's a long day. It's a long day, and we did a couple of big ones. That first one
It sure does.
It's getting great reviews.
But always do remember, though, the conflict does go both ways, but it always does start. It always started in 1948. And I know I'll let you guys, play with that one.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of meat in there.
We're going to make it about that.
They're dissecting it and just playing it all night long. It's been very good. I think it's a very important day. Because nobody thought this was possible. Very good. And the press has been very respectful for a change. Doesn't happen often. Go ahead, Peter. Let's go.
What does it tell you about the world that it seems like you got a much better reception in Israel than you would get in like New York City right now?
I think I get a great reception in New York City.
I'm not saying that you don't, but it was on another level today.
Yeah, you're right. It was incredible. But I went to the Bronx, and we had 31,000 people in a park in the Bronx in New York City during the campaign. 31,000, if you remember that. And it was the friendliest crowd you've ever seen. And very diverse, but it was really second. New York is good. It's good.
New York City, bad example, but it was, I don't know if you can
Are
see
you
from
admitting you made a mistake? I don't believe it. This is breaking news. No,
first rule of politics, never admit a mistake.
Never admit.
But it was, in the motorcade, I don't know if you can see, there were people hanging out of every apartment balcony, inside the Knesset.
It's, okay, so I've heard, like, they said if you did Russia, or if you did, lots of different combinations, they say the Middle East blows it away. And I said, well, by experts. It's just thousands of years, nothing's been done. It's a whole thing with the Arabs, Jewish people, this and everybody. It's just never been done before. And there's a certain mystery to the Middle East. I mean, look, it's only because of ratings. You're only as good as the ratings, right? If they weren't getting ratings.
Oh, and shout out Terry. Appreciate it, sis, for the 10 jewels. Hey, shout out to me catching that. But oh yeah, and Vladstein, yeah. How did I have a figure that they were gonna kind of treat it like that? They put the lines through it is crazy.
Your people at Fox, and by the way, Trey is excellent.
Anything to be legitimate.
We did a very quick interview. I was running to the second one where we were pretty late.
Something that we heard from some Israelis on the ground, they want to know how the peace holds when you are not the president. So 3 years from now,
I can't answer it. I know this, and you are all witness. We go, and I get 25,000, 35,000. If you look at a normal president, we'll get 300 people, and that's not bad. They'll go to a ballroom, they'll get 300 people. We get 35. We had 117,000 people in New Jersey. And so I can't tell you what's going to happen, but I'll be out there fighting for whoever it may be.
Did you tell Bibi beforehand that you were going to go off script? And
no, I actually told him I didn't want to bring up the part, but it was just a perfect spot. It was good timing, wouldn't you say? Because he was getting a very good hand. And when they stopped, they said, why did you give this guy a part? If he didn't get a good hand, they wouldn't have done that. But the timing was, what do you think, Katie? Good timing for that one, right?
I think people thought it was pretty funny, yes.
Yeah, it worked out well. It's a little risque, bring it up. Yeah, a pretty sore subject in Israel, but the people were fantastic.
Mr. President, you spoke to
here we go.
Egyptian...
She can ask more questions this morning. Go ahead.
I have some good questions, I promise.
You do. You were very nice today. Go ahead.
You talked to President El-Sisi, and you spoke about in that room how Egypt has so little crime, and you said it's all about leadership. You talked about...
Well, they're very strong on crime.
You talked about some of the governors...
You wouldn't believe how strong, but they are very strong, but they don't have the kind of crime. They don't have the violent... They may have other kinds of crime, but they're violent crime. You can actually walk down a park and not get mugged or hit over the head with a baseball.
Do you want to see some U.S. governors be more like Egypt?
No, I want them to be stronger and tougher and not allow us to have record-breaking crime in Chicago and different places.
Which would be nice.
I want them to admit they have crime. So there were 4,000 shootings in Chicago.
I mean, the fact that we got to sit there and wait for the Chicago mayor to sit there and be like, okay, yeah, we got a crime problem. I mean, bro, no shit. We see it all over social media. We see it all over the news. I mean, of course, the fact that we got to sit there and, I don't know, publicly shame the mayor of Chicago to sit there and, well, I'll be real with you, bring to light or stop trying to put a blanket over their crime problem is crazy. And the thing is about the people of Chicago, I mean, y'all should vote this guy out. I mean, just straight up. Like I said, apparently going against Trump is more important than, well, y'all safety. And that should be concerning to the people of Chicago. Well, I hope it is.
Murders over a fairly short period of time, meaning a year and a half, I think, 4,000 murders. many, many thousands of you're hit by a bullet but don't die. I want him to say we have a problem. Could Trump bring in the troops and solve the problem like I did in D.C., like I'm doing in Memphis? Have you seen the crimes way down in Memphis, and we've only been there 7 days? Way down.
The courts have been standing in your way here and
They have
held
been.
up.
Now,
Are
the
you
lower
thinking
courts
using
have.
the Insurrection Act?
The
Or you
lower, well, I could use it. If I wanted to, I could use it. Look, that's a very simple answer.
True.
I'm allowed to use the Insurrection Act. In fact, that was on...
I mean, look, if Brandon Johnson's serious about setting up that ice-free zone, I mean, yeah, he's gonna kind of walk himself into that Insurrection Act. I mean, and that's only if they do that. I'll be quite honest with you, because of what they were threatening with that whole ice-free zone, I'm like, yeah, that's a bit insurrection-y, my man. He can definitely walk in there with the troops to keep you from creating a ice-free zone, which, like I said, who's it going to be protected by? Well, most likely Chicago police. And Chicago police protecting pretty much a lawless zone is absolutely insane.
Stephanopoulos today is Slobodopoulous show. They asked Sloppy and Chris Christie about the Insurrection Act. He said, well, if you're talking about the Insurrection Act, he's got the absolute right to use that. And he said a couple of things about that. He said 50% of the presidents that served in office have used the Insurrection Act. And the Insurrection Act, according to all of them, said it can't even be challenged. I don't have to go there yet because I'm winning on appeal. You know, you're right. We're losing with radical left judges, generally, radical left judges, and we're winning on appeal. So we'll see what happens.
I'll be speaking to Governor J.B. Pritzker tomorrow. Do you have any messages or questions for him?
Well, I think he should beg for help because he's running a bad operation. And he's letting people get killed in his city because he doesn't want in Chicago.
Like Trump, bro. Come on, Trump. You really think J.B. Pritzker's going to beg?
That shit is hard. Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Make him beg.
And I love Chicago. Chicago can be a great city again, and very quickly. I would have Chicago cleaned out, the criminals removed, and we would remove them. You know, in D.C., we took out 1,700 career criminals, hard-line criminals. That's why it's so good right now. D.C.'s setting records the other way. It's never been so safe. And the restaurants have never done better business. They're opening up new restaurants.
But I'll tell you this, though. The National Guard worked for Memphis. Yes, there's black people all over Memphis. People who's actually living in the hood going like, yeah, I ain't going to lie. The National Guard, like, it sounded scary, but they pretty much cleaned up all the guys with warrants, taking convicted killers off the street. And now it's all peaceful. And it's peaceful in the hood. It is peaceful in the hood, man. In Memphis. Now, Chicago, you can share this fate, too. All you got to do is just, you know, it's going to be reckless, but just got to let in that National Guard, man. They're going to come in there and wrap your killers up. They're going to go ahead and get your killers like this. They're going to give them a charge. And your community will be safer. I mean, it could be such an easy process.
They were closing restaurants, now they're opening new restaurants. I can do the same thing on a larger scale in Chicago. And Pritzker should ask me to do it. But when you mentioned insurrection, I mean, you were the one that mentioned, one of you mentioned Insurrection Act. I mean, I could do that. And many presidents have.
Do you have an update on
50%, Katie, 50% of the presidents have used the insurrection because they don't want to go through this stuff where somebody said there's no crime and 4,000 people got shot. You know, right?
maybe you'll have to use
You
it?
don't have to convince because she tends to be on the conservative side.
Do you have an update on the Schumer shutdown and Democrats still continuing to
Well, it is a
refuse
Schumer
to vote for the
shutdown. I mean,
continuing
it's,
resolution?
look, they want to have health care for illegals that have come in. Many of these people are criminals, and they want to have health care. And what it also does is, you know, we have nobody coming in now. We haven't really locked down. If they start winning cases like this, we're going to have a rush on our border because they're going to come up for health care and the other things that they give away. Look at Newsom. Education, health care, he gives everything away. People come up for that. People come from other countries for that. So we can't have it. We can't have it. We have people coming into our country, but they're coming in legally.
Do you have any more meetings
We have
with
the
leadership
strongest
this week?
border we've ever had. But they are coming in, Katie. They're coming in legally through a process.
Do you have any planned meetings?
Yeah, shout out to TB. I'm hoping the same thing, sis. But heard that Memphis is doing better. Here's to hoping that these cities who say no will see how well the cities who say yes are doing, and they'll invite them in. I mean, we're all hoping for the same thing. I mean, you're acting like the National Guard isn't the military men who signed up to protect and serve the people of the United States. It's like you're acting like these people are coming here with ill will towards you. These are your military men. I mean, some people got friends and family in the military and somehow having this bad perspective or this terrible perspective, or my bad, not perspective, but perception of the National Guard. Like, when did we start hating our military men? Like, please let me know. This is confusing. I thought we love our military men. Well, I know we do on the conservative side. Like, if I see a guy if I see troops down the street, I'm good. I feel safe. I mean, why don't you? Unless you're out here committing crime or you got some crazy warrants or you got the pounds or the keys in the back. Other than that, you should feel safe.
With House and Senate leadership on the Republican side to figure out
I'm
this
meeting
week?
with them. I talk to them all the time. John Thune's been great, and Mike has been great. The speaker, he's been great. Those two guys have done a great job. But we're dealing with a bunch of radical left lunatics that have lost an election in a landslide. They don't even admit that. I mean, think of it. They lost the election 2,700 in terms of counties to 525. That's where the map is entirely, right? They lost all 7 swing states. They lost the popular vote, and then they say, "Oh, the election was close." She says the election was a landslide, but they lie. You know, they can take any subject like Newsom does. He says, "Oh no, Los Angeles is doing great." If we didn't go into Los Angeles, they would have had to cancel the Olympics. And the head of law enforcement said, and he said it very strongly, we could not have handled this if Trump didn't bring those people in. 2 weeks later, he said, "Oh, we could have," because he was told to say that.
And let's not forget this as well. In Chicago and Portland, of course, they're telling their police department to not help ICE, to not help them out, to not go in that area, just leave ICE out there on their own. And let's be real, well, law enforcement is supposed to help ICE, but if not, they're allowed to call back up. And that's what also leaves these guys open to bring in the National Guard, depending on how much cleaning up ICE got to do, especially if they can't depend on local law enforcement. I mean, like I said, they do it to themselves.
We did a great job in Los Angeles. You wouldn't have, first of all, you lost half of it with the fires. And this would have been, I think this would have been maybe even worse. They had no control. When we went in, the police had totally lost control. And he admitted it. The head, whoever he is, whatever his name is, he admitted it very strongly.
What's your reaction to President Bill Clinton giving you credit for ending the war?
Well, I've always liked Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with him. He used to be a friend of mine. Came to my wedding, you know. So did she. A lot of people don't know that. But no, I've always liked him. I thought it was very nice, actually. And what is he doing? He's telling the truth. Because nobody else has been able to do it. I'm talking about the Middle East. Yes?
Mr. President, I wanted to ask you about your conversations with world leaders today. You said that everybody is unified over your plan, but we heard from President S.E.T. calling for a two-state solution and independent Palestinian state.
Well, you're talking about a different plan. I'm talking about something very much different. We're talking about rebuilding Gaza. I'm not talking about single state or double state or two-state. We're talking about the rebuilding of Gaza.
What's the road ahead for governing
Gaza? Well, we'll have to see. I mean, a lot of people like the one-state solution. Some people like the two-state solution. So we'll have to see.
I mean, the two-state solution is the best solution because one-state solution is not going to happen. I mean, the Israelis is not going to deal with it, and they'll probably be the minority, and it'll probably take away the whole tag of the Jewish state if it was a one-state solution. Now, a two-state solution is best as long as it's fair. I mean, maybe there's somewhat of an equal split of the land. I don't know, like 60-40 or something like that. I know y'all want 50-50, but 60-40. Of course, Israelis would hold that 60. And, you give the Palestinians some fertile land, something they could prosper off of, and, let them live out their life, and let's see how that goes. I mean, they haven't had the opportunity since 1948, so we'll see how this goes.
I haven't commented on that.
How do you see bridging that gap? Because We have the Arab countries.
At some point, I'll decide what I think is right, but I'd be in coordination with other states and other countries.
And are you satisfied? I mean, some people might say it feels premature declaring peace for the whole Middle East. 3,000 years of peace.
Premature? Why? You want more people to be killed? What do you want? Another 300,000-400,000 people to be killed? Is that what you're looking for?
But in terms of the risks in Gaza, already saying
Risk. So you mean let them fight on for another couple of years and let some more buildings fall down on top of people and keep it going? No, we did it the right way. We did it. I think our timing was perfect, actually.
And in terms of
you don't really mean that. You mean you want them to fight on, right?
I'm just asking about the phase 2 of the negotiations and how confident you are that those can get underway.
We have a lot of power. That was a power room. Those are the richest countries. I think now with tariffs, I think we're the richest country in the world, actually. The United States. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. But those are, really seriously rich countries, and they can handle it.
Some of those players, and particularly Erdogan, they also help in the war between Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, Erdogan can. He's respected by Russia. Ukraine, I can't tell you about, but he is respected by Putin. And he's a friend of mine, you can see. I get along with the tough ones. I don't get along with the weak ones. I get along with the tough ones. I don't know what that is, but Erdogan's been great with me. When NATO has a problem with Erdogan, which they often do, they call me to talk to him. And I've never failed in working it out like immediately. Is that right? How's Caroline doing? Is she doing good? Should Caroline be replaced?
No. That's up to you, sir.
It'll never happen.
Nobody wants to.
I say she does a great job.
Thank you.
Do you want to elaborate on the
Those
countries?
and those lips, they move like a machine gun, right?
Do you want to elaborate on the countries you consider weak?
They really are? Okay, what?
Do you want to comment on the leaders you consider weak who are in that room?
No, I won't comment on that. But
I'm
you know
done.
Probably who they are.
Just I have an idea.
I'm like, come on now. Yeah, I don't think you want him to answer that question. Man, you trying to mess up international relations right when he just solved it. But let's go ahead and get over to Trump addressing the Knesset.
Very much for that.
Which is pretty much Israel's Congress.
It's an incredible triumph for Israel and the world to have all of these nations working together as partners in peace. And it's pretty unusual for you to see that, but it happened in this case. This was a very unusual point in time, a brilliant point in time. Generations from now, this will be remembered as the moment that everything began to change, and change very much for the better. Like the USA right now, it will be the golden age of Israel and the golden age of the Middle East. It's going to work together. I'd like to thank several great American patriots for their invaluable help in getting something done that almost everyone thought was absolutely impossible. We were wasting our time. So many people said, you're just wasting your time. But we weren't, because we had talented people working with us, and we had people that loved.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't even believe that Trump could get this Gaza deal done. Like, I mean, let's be honest. I didn't even think this man was interested in getting it done. Everybody, well, not because I believe he's an Israel shill. It's just because, honestly, he didn't really talk about it that much until, well, about last week when he was talking about, yeah, we're going to stop them from annexing the West Bank. And then he progressed further with, Gaza peace plan. And now here we are with him addressing the Knesset and Muslim countries.
Country, and frankly, people that love the region. They love the Middle East. Want to thank my friend Steve Witkoff.
Oh, Ben Bevere and Smoked it. Okay. Yeah, my man crying.
Steve was chosen by me. He never did this before, but I knew him as a few things. He was a great businessman, but I know a lot of great businessmen, to be honest with you. He had tremendous negotiating skills, but I know a lot of people that negotiate pretty well, although it is an art. But there are people that can negotiate pretty well. But most importantly with Steve, he's just a great guy. Everybody loved him. Everybody. I mean, I know some negotiators that are so good, but you wouldn't have had peace in the Middle East. You would be in World War III right now with some of these guys. Everybody loves Steve, and they respect him, and they somehow can relate to him. I've known him for many years, and I've seen it over and over again.
להוציא את חבר הכנסת עודה, להוציא אותו מהאולם, להוציא אותו מיד, החוצה.
Hey, somebody acting up. You not get him up out of here.
להוציא את חבר הכנסת כסיף מהאולם. להוציא אותו מיד.
About goddamn time. You remember when BB pulled up and got a standing ovation from our Congress? You know what? Now it's all forgiven. Okay, it's all good now. It's all good. It's all good. Hey, their Congress stood up for us and against one of their own radicals. And trust me, we're going to find out who that guy is and why he left out, because I'm pretty sure he's one of those guys who didn't want this peace deal to happen. Trust me. Like I said, there's people in Israel who literally wanted the war to continue.
Sorry for that, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Please.
That was very efficient.
Got that man out of here so quick.
So back to Steve. He's
I told you there was people who was not happy about this deal.
But I tell one story because he was so involved, and then we called in Jared. We need that brain on occasion. We got to get Jared in here. We got to get his.
I would say every person who didn't stand up, that's who wasn't okay with it. And shout out to my man Jay. He's like, damn, why don't the U.S. Congress got bouncers too? Exactly. I mean, they kind of do. They kind of do. But they got that man out of here so quick, it's almost like they knew he was gonna act up. Like, nope. Before you even start saying nothing, just get up out of here. I mean, at least in Congress, you can get out at least a couple sentences, damn near a full paragraph. But apparently in the Knesset, as soon as you about to say something crazy, like bro only had like a 3 words. Oh, nope, time for you to go.
Certain group of people, but Steve started this all by himself. I call him Henry Kissinger, who doesn't leak. Okay. Henry is a big leaker. He leaked. Steve doesn't leak. Steve just wants to get the job done. He wants to do what's right. But I'll give you just a quick story because, as you know, he's working on the war with Russia and Ukraine, a war that would have never happened if I were president. A shame. 7,000 young soldiers a week are being killed. More than that this last week. It's a shame. Should have never happened. But it did happen, and we won the race, and I took over this horrible war that's been raging, and I thought it would be easily settled. I thought it was a hell of a lot easier than doing what we just did very successfully with Israel and a lot of other people. But this came first, and we'll get that one. But I set up a meeting for him to meet with President Putin, thinking it would be a 15 or a 20-minute meeting. Steve had no idea about Russia, had no idea about Putin too much, didn't know too much about politics, wasn't that interested. He was really good at real estate, but he had that quality that I was looking for, and I didn't see it around in too many ways. And I set up the meeting with Putin, and I called. I said, is Steve finished yet? That was about a half an hour into the meeting. No, sir, he's not. He's still inside. This is in Moscow. I said, well, how's he doing? I don't know, sir. He's still inside. I called up an hour later. Let me speak to Steve. Sir, he's still with Putin. He's with President Putin. I said, wow, that's a long meeting, 1 hour. I called up an hour later, he was still with Putin. 3 hours later, he was still with Putin.
Still negotiating.
4 hours later, he started to get the word that he was going to be coming out soon. And in 5 hours, he came out. I said, what the hell were you talking about for 5 hours?
Man.
And he says, just
He must have hit him with the Tucker Carlson. He must have gave him a whole lecture on Russian history at a certain point.
a lot of interesting things. We're talking about a lot of interesting things, including what he went in there for, but you can't talk about it for 5. You can talk about it for a certain period of time and you know what you're getting. But that's a talent. That's a talent where you can do that. Most people I'd send in, number one, they wouldn't be accepted. Number two, if they were the meeting would last 5 minutes. And that's what happens with Steve. Everybody loves him. They love him on this side. They love him on the other side. And he really is. He's a great negotiator because he's a great guy. So thank you very much, Steve. Very much. And let me also give a very special thanks to someone who truly loves Israel. In fact, loves it so much that my daughter converted. My daughter converted. I didn't know this was going to happen. And Ivanka's here. And Bibi, you do know this was not in the cards for me. You understand that. And she is so happy, and they are so happy. At least I think they're happy. If they're not, we have a big story, right?
Hey man, if you believe always the Jews, then I mean, hey, it was all a plan to make the Trump family loyal to Israel. It was all a plan set out to the Mossad. The guys that yes, Trump's daughter husband is the Mossad. I know, guys, whatever.
They have a great marriage, and they're
but they do have financial investments in Israel, and they're also trying to be financially invested in Gaza as well, of course, in the rebuilding. So there is a bit of, well, yeah, there is a bit of interest right there. I ain't gonna lie, conflicted of interest. I'll tell you that right now.
They get along great. They're best friends. They have a very special relationship. But Jared has been so helpful. He really did something very special. He established the Abraham Accords with a group of very wonderful people. I like calling it the Avraham Accords because people that, right? And Avraham. It's so cool. It's so much sort of nicer, the Abraham versus the Avraham. I just don't want to sound too sanctimonious when I do it, so
let's see here. He said Tucker had Alex Jones on. That's crazy because I was listening to that at work. Well, I was trying to. But let's see here. We gotta watch. Oh yeah. Well, not we gotta, but we're gonna watch it. And why not? Yeah, we can definitely go ahead and watch it. Once we get through with the media analysis, we can go ahead and throw that one on.
I sort of split it up. This way we keep everybody happy. But we have some very great talent, and they have no excuses for anything that's taken place because we had some unbelievably good people working on this. And then you're going to add a man named Marco Rubio, who is also here. That's right.
Which is kind of crazy because, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in the "It's Always the Jews" guys' faces because I'm like, you mean Marco Rubio? The guy who's supposed to be working for Israel. Like, if Marco Rubio's in it, then nothing's gonna happen. Well, look where we are now. Look where we are now. So shout out Marco Rubio for not actually being Marco Rubio. I'm just saying. Like, we should be happy.
And I have a prediction that Marco will go down, I mean this, as the greatest Secretary of State in the history of the United States. I believe that. I believe it. And he and I, we really fought it out. You remember, he was tough. He was nasty. Who the hell thought this was going to happen, Marco, right? And now I'm saying he's going to go down as the greatest.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm going to be real with you. Marco Rubio is probably one of Trump's fiercest competitors and was probably the only one that actually could debate him. There was others, but Marco Rubio was the best at debating.
Well, he was always smart and sharp, and people respect him. And then we have somebody who's young, but an unbelievable leader. I saw it a long time ago, and he's turned out to be even better than we thought. Right, Susie? I think even better. And that's Pete Hegseth, who is our Secretary of War, formerly Secretary of Defense. And as you know, we decisively won World War I. We decisively won World War II decisively. And everything in between and everything before it, we won everything. And then they had the brilliant idea of changing the name from war, it was war, to defense. And with that went a certain thinking. And we fought in a very politically correct way after that. We always had the strongest military, and now we have a stronger military than we've ever had before. Because of my first term, I've totally rebuilt the military, every aspect of it. But we have, if you think, we settled 8 wars in 8 months. I'm now including this one, by the way, if that's okay. They may say, well, that was quick. Because yesterday I was saying 7, but now I can say 8. The hostages are back. The hostages are back.
Yo, what makes us really impressive is the fact that, well, I'll be honest with you, that we've been trying to do this since President Carter. The closest we got was Clinton. I mean, after that, it was just completely fumbling in the ball. Like, it's just been fumbling the ball ever since until Trump came around. With this, and the fact that we got through phase 1 is a blessing. Like I said, let's hope we can get through phase 2. But if not, we kind of seen it coming. But praying, right? Praying. We should want it to happen.
It is a good feeling. Isn't that nice to say? I just said the hostage. First time I said the hostages are back. It feels so good to say it. But when you settle 8 wars in 8 months, that means you don't like war. Everyone thought I was going to be brutal. In fact, I remember Hillary Clinton during a debate, she said, look at him. He's going to go into war with everybody. And actually, she said, he's got a personality that's all about war.
Nah, that was straight projection. Hillary was the one who wanted war. Because let's be real, if Hillary would have got elected, we'd have been at war with Russia.
And my personality actually is all about stopping wars. And it seems to work. It seems to work. But it also means this name change and our attitude that we're not going to go into a war. But if we do, we're going to win that war like nobody has ever won a war before. We will not be politically correct, but we're not going to be there. And I think, as you mentioned, Bibi, before, peace through strength. And that's what it's all about. The United States has the greatest and most powerful military in the, right now, history of the world. I can tell you we have weapons that nobody's ever dreamt of. I only hope we never have to use them. I rebuilt the military. I was proud to do it, but some of the things I hated to do. I hated certain of the weapons because the level of power is so enormous. It's so dangerous, so bad. But we have to do what we have to do. We make the best weapons in the world, and we've got a lot of them. and we've given a lot to Israel, frankly. And
Gotta give the man flowers.
I mean, Bibi would call me so many times, can you get me this weapon, that weapon, that weapon? Some of them I
And look, guys, I know it hurt y'all's soul. I know it hurt your soul. The TDS done took it over, but you gotta give it to this man, Trump. Like, you know, the less the range of you guys will understand what I'm saying. But like, come on now. The whole Knesset giving him a round of applause. It does hopefully, like I said, the whole deal gets, you know, all phases go through. But as of right now, you got to give it to Trump. People's family members are home on both sides.
never heard of, Bibi, and I made them. But we'd get them here, wouldn't we? And they are the best. They are the best. But you used them well. It also takes people that know how to use them. And you obviously used them very well. But so many that Israel became strong and powerful, which ultimately led to peace. That's what led to peace. So as we celebrate today, let us remember how this nightmare of depravity and death all began. 2 years ago, on the eve of the Simchat Torah holiday, thousands of innocent Israeli civilians were attacked by terrorists, and one of the most evil and heinous desecrations of innocent life the world has ever seen, the worst slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust. The cruelty of October 7th struck to the core of humanity itself. Nobody could believe what they were witnessing. The United States of America grieved alongside you, and we mourned for our own citizens who were so viciously taken that day. And to all the families whose lives were forever changed by the atrocities of that day, and all of the people of Israel, please know that America joins you in those two everlasting vows: never forget and never again.
All right. But all right, guys, now let's go ahead and get into the media analysis, since we did like a complete hour of Trump. But yeah, pretty much Trump addressed the Knesset. It does seem like they're going along. Well, like a seemingly, you never know. Like I say, you never know with this man Bibi here. This is the wild card, and of course, Ben Levere and Smotrich is also another wild card. So there's like 3 wild cards, but Bibi, main wild card. We don't know if these actually want to go along with this. We don't know if there might be a false flag initiated. Who the F knows? But all right, guys, let's get over to the right side of media and let's see what they're saying. Shout out Hannity.
And welcome to Hannity, and we start tonight with a Fox News alert. Tonight, President Trump just pulled off something once thought impossible, and the nation and the world are a safer place. For the first time in decades, we now have a clear path and committed coalition of partners to achieve a true, lasting peace in the Middle East. Take a look.
This is the day that people across the region and around the world have been working, striving, hoping, and praying for. Together, we've achieved what everybody said was impossible. At long last, we have peace in the Middle East, and it's a very simple expression: peace in the Middle East. And
I always did say, like, a lot of Arab countries gripe with the U.S. is our support for Israel's oppression on the Palestinians and preventing a 2-state solution. I mean, they blame us for that as well, but it is what it is. Now, if we can get the Palestinians to govern themselves, police themselves, and work their way into a 2-state solution, then that does solve the beef with, like, I would say at least 60 to 70% of the Middle East.
We've heard it for many years, but nobody thought it could ever get there, and now we're there.
Okay, so how did we get here? How did Trump pull this off when so many others had tried and failed?
Okay.
First, it is critically important to understand President Trump, more than any other president in the modern era, does understand.
And shout out Asher Rose. How's it going, sis? She said, should I keep going? I believe I had 100 more I have 120 more deals that he did. That's not including the peace accomplishments. I mean, ain't that the fact? But look, when we talk about trade deals, they want to be like, oh, what trade deals? I mean, really? Like, oh, okay, he solved the conflicts. Oh, what conflicts? Like, do you not watch the news? I mean, like, are you paying attention to this? Because it's kind of crazy how you're quick to come in here and say, oh, he didn't do nothing. But then when we ask you, all right, well, do you know about this, that, and the third? And you say no. And then we ask you, all right, well, tell me what deals he failed on. You don't know. So, hey, it's amazing how a lot of these guys operate.
Power, the influence of this country, the USA, and he is willing to use both economically, militarily, to make the world a better and safer place. After Afghanistan, guess what? America now stands bright and tall as the leader not only of the free world, but of the entire world. And this.
Oh, and shout out to my man Vlastin. He says, have you noticed Hannity gets excited when he's does a breaking news segment? I mean, yeah, let's be honest. But shout out Hannity, though. Shout out Hannity. I actually like him. Hannity's cool. Well, I'm be rich. I do disagree with him on geopolitical topics all the time. But other than that, he cool.
Brings us to 4 critical points. How this all went down, how it all happened. And only Donald Trump could convince Israel. Why? Because of his long-standing support for Israel. And only Trump could get Israel to stop wiping out Gaza completely. That war was won. They just had to finish it. This, of course, after we had Hamas attacking Israel for decades, culminating with the attacks a little over 2 years ago on October 7th. Now, number 2, only Trump could convince a coalition of neighboring Arab countries to join in these peace efforts. Why? Because after decades, many of these countries, most of these countries, wanted nothing to do with any solution, and he was able to forge deep alliances with countries. Why? Because they trusted him. They respected him. He built up real and meaningful relationships with all of them. Number 3, you cannot underestimate the impact of Donald Trump sticking to his promise. Iran cannot have nuclear weapons and then taking out the Iranian nuclear sites. The world knows that President Trump does not make idle threats. And this is proven with the Trump doctrine over and over and over again. And more recently gave Iran 50 days, choose peace. They said no. On day 51, Israel got the green light. They attacked Iran's ballistic missile sites, their air defense systems.
Which I did not agree with because, I mean, Iran was over there striking Israel right back and we kind of had to bail Israel out because, let's be real, it was a battle of nutrition and Israel did not have enough firepower to take on Iran by themselves. So because we bombed Iran and every time we get involved, Iran backs down. I mean, Iran does not want beef with us. They want their beef is with Israel, but if we get involved, they back down every single time.
And we took out their nuclear facilities. Well, he gave them the choice for peace. They rejected it. Number 4, Trump said to Hamas, you can do it the easy way, you can do it the hard way. They initially rejected this deal. President Trump doubled down, said, if you reject this deal, you will be obliterated. Clearly, they believed him, and their minds were changed.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. 70% of Gaza was destroyed. It's almost like, God damn it, you actually coming here to destroy the rest of the 30? Yep, go ahead and give up. Hamas, just give up. Just go ahead and turn it in. Actually, the plan Trump giving y'all is actually a pretty good plan. So, yeah, we should go ahead and take that.
This is a really good plan. This is not a phrase that conservatives use. Peace through strength. Trust.
I mean, the fact that there are some Israelis mad at it should let you know it's a good plan. It's not just heavily favored towards the Israelis like a lot of these other, well, I would say proposed peace deals of the past.
But verified. No, these are real principles that work in real time, and we watched it unfold before our eyes today. And as Time magazine rightly pointed out, this is Trump's triumph. But this is so much more than a political win. Thanks to the president, his team, countless lives have been saved on both sides of this conflict, including all 20 living hostages now released by Hamas. Thank God. Take a look.
Over the past 2 years, I've met many of the families of the Israelis taken hostage and those that were taken hostage. Unbelievable. I've looked into their eyes. I've seen the worst nightmares of their suffering, but I've also seen something else, the beautiful love of the people, the love of people, frankly, that hold things together, the love that gives you the courage to carry on through thousands of years of persecution and repression and to emerge with the heart of David. It's the heart of David. It's that love that's defeated the enemies of civilization, built this incredible country and this unbelievable economy, and forged one of the great democracies of the world.
Now, for more than 2 years, these hostages, they were held in captivity by terrorists in Gaza, by Hamas, and now they are home. Take a look.
Oh man, that's touching.
Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ברוך אתה, אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. וואי וואי, אוי כמה.
טוק שלי, בוא, אמא שלך. אוי נמרוד. ילד גיבור שלי, ילד גיבור. חיים שלי, חיים שלי, אתה חיים שלי.
All right.
ברוך אתה, אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן.
Shout out.
Israel, I'm not really sure what part of hundreds of thousands of...
I mean, like I said, you can't be mad at it. You just can't be mad at it. Shout out Trump for this one.
Rockets that have been fired into the small country the size of New Jersey, they don't understand. I'm not sure what part of murder, the equivalent of 40,000 Americans in a day murdered based on their population size versus ours, that they don't understand. I'm not sure what part of rape and kidnapping and beheading they don't understand. I've seen those videos. I wish the world would see them. And now the Middle East, by the way, and the world is changing rapidly right before our eyes, thanks to President Trump.
I always do say, if they got those videos, I mean, as gruesome as they are, they should release them, because let's be quite honest. I mean, let's be real then. Y'all let Hamas kind of run away with the media because they released all their gruesome videos of the bombings and all that good stuff and the starvation and all that. So if y'all had that, y'all should release it. That'd help y'all in the in the propaganda campaign, because they kind of killed you guys on that one.
America now is in the driver's seat. Today, every leader from almost every major country around the globe convened in Egypt to thank our president, to praise the administration's pursuit of peace. He's been unrelenting. He has literally been expending so much political time and energy to get this day accomplished and make this happen, and commit to helping this become a lasting peace, a lasting coalition.
Even India pulled up
during his speech at Israel's
and Iraq.
Members of Israel's government were chanting Trump, Trump, Trump. Some were even wearing red MAGA hats. Take a look.
I love Israel. I'm with you all the way. You will be bigger, better, stronger, and more loving than ever before. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless the United States of America, and God bless the Middle East. Thank you, everybody. Good luck. Thank you very much. Thank you.
History in the making. For the first time, maybe ever, there was cheering in both Israel and in Gaza. Make no mistake, you're witnessing history that many thought could never happen. but not everyone was particularly happy. The quote ceasefire crowd, well, can't seem to say much of anything at this point. It looks like they really didn't want a ceasefire after all, or they simply cannot find it within themselves to ever once at one time give President Trump any credit at all. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's done.
I don't know, man. See, I don't like how they try to frame Zoran Mondani. I mean, bro, like I said, attack his policies, because you guys trying to paint him as this Islamist who hate Jews is just not matching up. I mean, he got the New York Jews on his side. He got the ones with the curly hair coming down and the hat and the funny hats. And I'm be honest with you, dog, those are like the stereotypical ones that everybody say, well, people hate. So if he got those people on his side, can we just attack him for just being a Democrat socialist who kind of is pushing towards communism? Can we judge him on that, and let's not try to make him an Islamist jihadist? Because I don't know, it just doesn't seem it's just not matching up, and I don't think we should attack him on that. Because like I said, I think the right should kind of lay up off the whole Muslim thing. It isn't a good look. But hey, man, hey, do what y'all do, though. Hey, you ain't got to listen to me. You do not have to listen to me. Or to interrupt. He said, Amen Odenhan and Ofer Kassif are the two interrupted. I mean, well, who is they? No, actually, thank you for giving me the name. I'm going to look them up, actually.
Incompetent former Secretary of State, the architect
probably
of the Afghanistan withdrawal, Tony Blinken, actually took credit for this deal, posting on X that he was glad that President Trump adopted the Biden plan for peace, which is like the most laughable post I've ever seen. Remember, Obama and Biden. Remember their Iranian nuclear deal? Remember, they dumped.
It wasn't that bad. Now, I'm going to be real with you. The Iranian nuclear deal was actually a good deal. I'm going to be real. Because it kept us out of the situation of them even having a nuclear stockpile that we don't have an eye on. They was abiding by the, what was it? The inspections. So it was actually a good deal. But I don't know. And I'm not sure why Trump ripped it up. But hey, it is what it is. Like I said, they say he was working for the Zionists then. Well, he ain't working for them now.
Cash and other currencies and cargo planes on the tarmacs for the mullahs to foment more terror around the world. That was not exactly a peace plan. And that deal would have allowed the Iranians to become a nuclear superpower. In reality, the only thing Blinken ever pulled off was his disinformation campaign against Trump. Of course, he organized the now infamous letter signed by, 51 former Intel officials who had never seen Hunter's very real laptop that is now authenticated, falsely suggesting that laptop that they never saw was likely Russian disinformation. And meanwhile, over at fake news CNN, the network's far-left international correspondent, Christian Ampor, forced to apologize over the disgusting comparison to the Holocaust. Take a look.
People who start to talk to the hostages who've only just been released will find that it will take a long, long time for them to recover physically, but also mentally. It's been a terrible, terrible 2 years for them, because not only are they there, they're probably being treated better than the average Gazan, because they are the pawns and the chips that Hamas had. Now Hamas has given up all its leverage, by the way, by giving them all up. So that is a victory for the Israeli side.
Yeah, the hostages was Hamas's only leverage. So Hamas just gave up all their leverage, and they ain't got nothing. They ain't got nothing to holding them to or stopping Israel from going in, but their obligation to, the Gaza peace plan that Trump laid out. So, hopefully the Israel's, trying to follow along with the rest of the world. Hopefully, praying. You got to pray sometimes. You got to be hopeful. But all right, guys, let's go over to the left side of the media and let's see what they're saying about it. Shout out CNN.
A historic moment in the Middle East as world leaders signed a deal.
And shout out to my man Vladstein. He says, take care of each other is right. Hannity has that teeth whistle when he talks. Once you hear it, you cannot hear it. I mean, you can't unhear it pretty much. I get what you're saying there. Shit. Now I'm going to be trying to listen to it. You know what? We ain't got time for that, Vlad. We ain't got time for that. I'm going to pretend like you ain't say that so I don't start hearing it.
A historic moment in the Middle East as world leaders signed a deal formalizing a ceasefire in Gaza, a deal that President Donald Trump heralded as the beginning of peace in the Middle East.
This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East. Generations from now, this will be remembered as the moment that everything began to change, and change very much for the better. Like the USA right now, it will be the golden age of Israel and the golden age of the Middle East. This took 3,000 years to get to this point. Can you believe it? And it's going to hold up, too. It's going to hold up.
It's going to hold up, he says. That summit there in Egypt capping off a momentous day that saw Hamas release all 20 of the living.
Yeah, because most of these peace deals, man, they be proposed and phase one gets started, but it never finishes out. Now, the fact that Trump got phase one done is why everybody's giving him props. Because honestly, getting a phase one done of any peace deal with the Palestinians and Israel was almost, it's like people said, man, you're wasting your time and it's damn near impossible. People have been trying for decades.
Israeli hostages
Ain't
reuniting
lying.
with their families after more than 2 years of captivity amid war.
Heart touching.
That they, of course, feared that they might never see again. And at the same time, massive celebration broke out in Gaza. Israel released almost 2,000 Palestinians, many of whom are being held without charges. And now,
which is true. It's funny because, like, look, if you listen to Fox or Israeli media, they'll tell you, like, oh, these are all terrorists. They're all terrorists. But honestly, I'm like, all right, cool. Produce evidence that they're terrorists. I mean, trust me, Israel's going to hit you with the... So, nah, CNN is actually right. Like, a lot of these guys were held without charges. I mean, just picked up and locked up.
the question, what comes next? Will this ceasefire hold?
I mean, it's kind of like what the Dems fearmonger ICE is going to do to us. You know, that, but real.
Will Hamas disarm? Will Israel remove its military from Gaza? Today, President Trump said the next phase of talks is already underway as he projected confidence that this ceasefire marks simply the beginning.
After years of suffering and bloodshed, the war in Gaza is over. This will be maybe the greatest deal of them all, period. And I want to thank all of you and all of these great nations and this region for what it's gone through and all of the fights it's had, or life over death and hope over strife and harmony over hatred. That's what we want. We want it to be that way because together we're going to forge a magnificent, great, and enduring peace.
All right, let's get off the sidelines, head into the arena. My panel is here. We also have CNN's Clarissa Ward in Israel and CNN's Nick Robertson on the ground in Egypt. Clarissa, let me start with you. You spent much of the day at what's become known as Hostages Square in Tel Aviv. What did you see? And, you know, we watched a little bit of the joy for some of these families, but talk about what they're feeling right now.
Well, we saw people who had started arriving, Casey, at 4 or 5 in the morning, tens of thousands of them, many of them people, Israelis who had been coming to Hostages Square every single week for more than 2 years, demanding that all actions be taken to bring them home. Many of them.
And the Israelis was getting pissed off with Bibi because, well, he kept recklessly bombing Gaza. And they felt like, well, rightfully so, that was putting the hostages in danger. And of course, you know, well, we got to get them in the tunnels and all this good stuff. Well, I mean, you know, maybe it's just common sense to me, but don't you think that they're moving with these hostages? So don't you think it's a bit reckless to just bomb buildings willy-nilly in the hopes to get these tunnels? You know, considering that they're probably moving with their most valuable asset, which is the hostages in this war, possibly through these tunnels, and you're just gonna, I don't know, recklessly bomb them? Does that make much sense? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Were either friends of hostages or friends of hostages. This is a small country. There is a tight-knit sense of community. And for the people that we saw in that square, it was just so very important to be there, to bear witness, to welcome them home. to celebrate and also to grieve. Early on in the day, I would say the atmosphere was quite subdued. People were taking a moment to reflect. We saw a lot of tears, we saw a lot of prayers, and then as the exchange got underway and those last final 20 living Israeli hostages finally made their way out of Gaza back into Israel, you saw the crowd erupting into applause and cheers, and a lot of cheering as well, I should say, for President Donald Trump. There were posters all around Hostages Square.
Which they hate. They do not like the fact that those posters was posted all around. Trump was getting all this congratulations. And I mean, come on now. Do they really want to be the only person that's sitting there trying to throw dirt on Trump while everybody's throwing him flowers? It would be pretty awkward. And everybody would look at the left kind of weird, like, all right, so y'all been the main ones talking about this. Something fine. There's a progression. There's progression towards peace, and you guys aren't happy. Like, they don't want to be the odd man out, which is understandable.
How does that look now? Biden said Trump stole his peace plan. How does that look right now? The cover of the Jerusalem Post, God bless the peacemaker. From Air Force One, Trump was welcomed with a big thank you on Israeli beaches in the town square. They were chanting his name.
You heard the whole crowd here started to erupt into cheers of thank you, Trump, thank you, Trump. Fair to say that President Trump is possibly even more popular here than he is in the United States.
Wolf Blitzer says people are wearing MAGA hats in the Middle East.
And when I was there, I even saw people wearing Make America Great Again hats in that crowd over at Hostage Square.
Israeli ministers were seen wearing red hats today that said, Trump the peace president. Hakeem should wear one of those instead of the sombrero.
Trump the peace president.
Netanyahu says he's got a new BFF.
Donald Trump is the greatest friend that the state of Israel has ever had in the White House.
The Arabs haven't had an American president this good since Bush the Elder. It's not easy to get Jews and Muslims to love someone this much. They can't agree about anything. Egyptian F-16s even gave Air Force One a big, beautiful escort today. Meanwhile, Trump was on the phone with Arab investors to help turn Gaza into the Mideast Mar-a-Lago.
I'm pleased to announce that numerous countries of great wealth and power and dignity have come forward to me and just today and over the last week to say they want to help in the reconstruction of Gaza, putting up whatever money is necessary.
The Mideast used to be a money pit, and somehow Trump's turned it into an investment opportunity and has everybody else putting up most of the capital. Fingers crossed the deal sticks. Now, Pakistan's demanding the Nobel Committee do a recount.
I would like to nominate this great president for Nobel Peace Prize. And I think that you're the man this world needed most at this point in time.
A decade ago, Pakistan was caught harboring Osama bin Laden,
That's Egypt,
and now they're kissing the feet of an American president. Time magazine put him on the cover, calling the peace deal his triumph.
Which is crazy, though. I mean, yeah, even Pakistan is kind of going like, shout out Trump. We're talking about the guys that love bin Laden. I mean, we're talking about Iraq as well. I mean, there were some bin Laden nights in Iraq, I believe. Yeah, there were. But yeah, I mean, even them. So, and here's the thing. If anybody ever read Osama bin Laden, Letter to America, one of his main gripes was America's support of the oppression of Palestine, which Israel was doing with American money and weaponry. So that was one of their main gripes. I mean, we pretty much solved the question, or pretty much solved whatever the bin Ladenites were beefing about. Well, actually, that was what they were beefing about. And other countries as well. But one of those countries was Palestine, and then you got, Somalia and I think Southern Sudan.
But Trump's humble. He doesn't want all the credit.
Marco will go down, I mean this, as the greatest Secretary of State in the history of the United States. I believe that. I believe it. And he and I, we really fought it out. You remember, he was tough. He was nasty. Who the hell thought this was going to happen, Marco, right?
And Witkoff got a big shout out, too.
Steve started this all by himself. I call him Henry Kissinger, who doesn't leak. Okay? Henry is a big leaker. He leaked. Steve doesn't leak. Steve just wants to get the job done. He wants to do what's right.
New York real estate developers did more for peace in the Middle East than what career diplomats did in decades. Hillary said Trump didn't even have the temperament to be president.
Everyone thought I was going to be brutal. In fact, I remember Hillary Clinton during a debate, she said, look at him, he's going to go to war with everybody. And actually, she said...
Like he's a wild racist. He's going to go out there and exterminate Muslims and get into it with... He's going to work with Putin and all this wild stuff. It's like, man, ain't that crazy? I mean, well, first off, he's trying to cripple this man's economy, cripple Putin's economy. And then second off, well, he's brought as much peace to the Middle East as most of our presidents, our last president, especially Biden. So you got to give Trump his flowers. Like, come on now, guys. Like, come on, step down from the TDS for a minute.
He's got a personality that's all about war. No, and my personality actually is all about stopping wars, and it seems to work.
Democrats are now saying, thank God we didn't have Kamala.
Oh, and shout out Terry for sending another 2 jewels. Appreciate the support, sis. Just
it pains me somewhat to admit this, but yes, he's certainly been good for the Middle East and for Israel in a way that I don't think there was any reason to expect Harris to be good.
Even Kamala is giving Trump credit.
I don't think that we should hold and credit where it's due, and I commend the people who have been a part of this process. I'd commend the Qataris, the Egyptians, and the president.
If Kamala had succeeded in putting Trump in prison, Iran would have still had nukes and Hamas would have still had hostages. The best Biden and Harris could do for Gaza was spend hundreds of millions on a pier that sank into the ocean. Even Biden's guys are now giving MAGA credit.
I give credit to President Trump. I give credit to Witkoff and Kushner and Rubio.
Struggling. It almost sounded like that man wanted to cry. I want to give, I got to give it to Witkoff, Rubio, and, Donald Trump. I hate to give Trump congratulations, but, you got to give it to him. It's like, boy, the Dems, they're hilarious.
These are hard jobs.
This shouldn't be political. We can all celebrate peace and the hostage release, but we do have to keep score. A lot has been said.
If he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it.
What?
Well, we watched The View today, and
hey, so where's that MAGA hat, sis? I mean, he did it. That's what I'm saying. That's how hard it is to actually just get phase 1 of a peace deal done between the Israelis and the Palestinians. That's how hard it is. They had that much doubt. Everybody was like, bro, I'll throw a MAGA. She said, I'll throw a MAGA hat on The View. Lord knows she probably didn't do it, most likely. Like, actually, hold on, let's see.
No hat.
Oh, okay, yeah, no hat. So, of course, she didn't do it. But that's how much doubt people had in their heart. And now look at them. Now look how salty he is right now. I mean, what can I say, man? He was right. And if you doubted Trump, well, I'm going to be real with you. If you're mad at Trump just for getting this through,
stop it. Get some help.
Rashida Tlaib was banging pots and pans, screaming free Gaza. Trump just freed Gaza. No tweets, no speeches, no press releases, nothing. And the woman's Palestinian. Seems like she was more into the Intifada.
Oh.
Even Fetterman's asking, where's Rashida?
Absolute elation. I mean, how can we all celebrate this thing? I mean, you've had human beings held underground for over 2 years and tortured and beaten and starved, forced to dig their own graves and things. Now they can finally come back home. And now everyone should be celebrating these things.
If Democrats had their way, Trump would have been rotting away in prison like a hostage instead of freeing them. Why can't the left just say we were wrong? They held signs that said, end genocide now.
Now, they can't walk it back, man. They can't walk it back. They didn't put themselves too far out there. They didn't did too much. They didn't said too much, okay? They're never walking back that Trump's actually, Trump's actually a decent guy. They're never going to do it, okay? They didn't say too much. There ain't no walking that back. And they make money off it, too.
Trump ended what they said was genocide.
Can't blame him.
Not even a thank you. No, sorry about the whole Hitler thing. Now we should make them call him Gandhi. Trump's on a roll, and he's reaching out to friends and foes.
Yet even to Iran, whose regime has inflicted so much death on the Middle East, the hand of friendship and cooperation is open. I'm telling you, they want to make a deal. That's all I do in my life. I make deals. I'm good at it. I've always been good at it. And I know when they want. Even if they said, we don't want to make a deal, I can tell you they want to make a deal.
With this Mideast momentum, Trump's...
Wait, shout out Vladstein. Somebody come get her. She's dancing like a stripper. Wait, shout out T-Pain. I mean, so all right, shout out Vladstein. You know, I'm gonna have to give you some Riz for that one. You got Riz for that one.
Turning his eyes back to Ukraine. He's flirting with sending Zelensky tomahawks to make Putin feel more pain.
Oh, goddamn,
Carrot hasn't worked. Trump thinks it might be time for Putin to feel some stick. Now, if Israel and Hamas can make a deal, Russia and Ukraine can too.
Yeah.
Trump's more accomplished in 9 months than most presidents do in a term. He's still got 3.5 years left, and he's already racked up 8 peace deals, trillions of dollars of investments and trade deals.
I mean, let's be real though. The beef between Israel and Israel and Gaza, that's like way deeper than the beef between Russia and Ukraine. So the fact that he was able to get that under control before them, I mean, yeah, it's pretty amazing. But as like I would like to say, you know, this deal doesn't involve two superpowers. I mean, Israel's beholden to us, and I mean Gaza. I mean, well, Hamas, they got obliterated basically. So this is the best deal they're getting, and they were going to take it. So, hey, man, when it comes to dealing with a superpower, it's a lot harder to enforce our will on these guys in Russia.
Border, tax relief, crime down in D.C., record stock market, low gas prices, and cooling inflation. When Trump meets Xi Jinping next month in South Korea, China is going to be facing an American president battle-tested and with the wind at his back. We're witnessing a historic presidential legacy being written in real time. The only question now is, how big?
Is there a dream that you're still trying to chase, or have you reached all your dreams?
You're asking questions like you're a television comp. I thought I was just going to come out and play around the golf with you. And you're asking questions like I'm on television. Yeah, no, look, you become president. That's a dream, right?
Yeah.
I
don't think
now what you can know, you dream now you want to be a great president.
Yeah.
Now you're president. Now your dream is to be a great president.
I think you're doing a pretty good job.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Because
yeah, well, he did do that little video going golfing with his granddaughter. Oh, you know, it's very humanizing. You gotta love it. I mean, hey, the man's a granddad. Like, why y'all mad? But shout out to my man Steph. Shout out to Steph. Appreciate you, sis. Sorry about that. Music video request, please play it set. All right, I got you. Let me go ahead and open up Discord real quick. And shout out to my man Daniel Castro. Trump should flip the script, apologize for past difficulties with the Dems, and call for peace among parties in the mainstream political stage. Yeah, and if they deny it, oh man, it's just gonna make them look even worse. And I don't know, like, that's what I'm saying. If Trump comes to the kumbaya, I mean, which is gonna be hard for this man to do considering everything the Dems did to him, I don't think he has it in him. I mean, it would be the best move. I'm not gonna lie, Cash. That would be like the best move. But after everything the Dems did to him, I don't know if he's gonna come to that. Somebody should whisper it in his ear and damn near feign, like, bro, I don't care. Feign diplomacy if you need to, but yeah, he should employ that strategy. I mean, yeah, that's actually a really good one.
Tonight, some prominent Democratic leaders are sharing praise for President Trump and his team following the release of the remaining living hostages held by Hamas, as his complex ceasefire deal faces a complicated but hopeful path forward. Former President Joe Biden, who was in office October 7th, 2023, said this tonight: I commend President Trump and his team for their work to get a renewed ceasefire deal over the finish line. Former President Bill Clinton posted this: President Trump and his administration, Qatar, and other regional actors deserve great credit for keeping everyone engaged until the agreement was reached. And from Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, I commend the enormous advocacy of the tireless hostage families, President Trump and his administration, and all who helped make this moment happen. My political sources tonight: former communications director for the DNC, Karen Finney, and Republican strategist Michael Singleton. It's nice to share this nice evening with you. I feel like there's so much doom and gloom, and we have some, not just slivers of hope, but a giant opening of hope. Karen, I want to start with you on kind of the politics of this. There's the human side, and then there is the politics of this. And what do you make of the way that those Democrats who I talked to and others are approaching the reality right now that there is a ceasefire deal, which is a very, very good thing?
It is a good thing. And, tremendous credit does go to the Trump administration and to everyone, I think, as a number of them pointed out, who is part of this, because it's clear that the key to this deal are the Arab countries, other, Muslim countries where they are agreeing to be part of the solution. That is going to be critical. And I'll tell you, as somebody who was there on the South Lawn when Bill Clinton, for the famous handshake and the work that he tried to do, the question, I think now, it's a wonderful day, and it was wonderful to see people reunited with their loved ones. But politically, I think the question, and we'll see how much political capital President Trump will have to utilize in the days and weeks and years ahead to keep this peace, to hold it, because it's a 20-point plan, and we're on point 1 or 2, and so there's a lot of work that has to happen.
Yeah, man, she ain't lying. But all right, guys, I guess we spent enough on the Gaza deal. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic of the government shutdown. And of course, man, let's start off on the left side. Let's start off on the left. Shout out Abby Phillips. I mean, look, man, look. We know she be spitting BS, but I mean, hey. You gotta listen to both sides, okay, guys? You gotta listen to both sides. And I mean, hey, she's not the worst one on CNN. She's not the worst one on CNN. She's like the third.
The standoff over how to reopen the government is now in its 3rd week, and Speaker Mike Johnson is warning that things are going to get uglier if Democrats don't cave.
We're barreling toward one of the longest shutdowns in American history unless Democrats drop their partisan demands and passed a clean, no-strings-attached budget to reopen the government and pay our federal workers.
Now, caught in the middle of all...
I mean, yeah, all you gotta do is bend the knee and kiss the ring of Donald Trump and never challenge the Don man again. Okay, I'm joking. But all y'all gotta do is take the 1-year extension on the Obamacare health subsidy that you guys were complaining about, and then we can go ahead and solve the whole Obamacare situation later. But I was hoping that it was about Obamacare subsidies, because that would have been an easy fix. And it doesn't end until December 31st. So extending it for a year should have solved the problem. But apparently it's a whole lot more than just Obamacare health subsidies. It's also about that $1.5 trillion in, well, Medicaid spending that they want.
All of this are more than 1 million federal workers either furloughed or working without pay. But Johnson maintains that there's just one side to blame.
Just one?
I know the Democrats hate to cut spending in any way, in any form. But we are for that because we have to make government work better for people. If you look at the polling, the people's faith in the federal government is at an all-time low. Why? Because they don't see that it's being done well.
I'm not sure he remembers, but Republicans are in charge of all 3 branches of government, more or less. And certainly the House, the Senate, and the White House are all in their command. So who's really to blame?
It's such a tired argument of, oh, well, they control the House and the Senate. It's like, bro, yes, all the Republicans have agreed on the CR. The Dems are the demanding party. They're the ones who want to add spending for some wild reason. But then it was crying about the spending of the big, beautiful bill. And then you come, what, like 4 months out? No, about 3 months out. And now you guys want increased spending. Like, the hypocrisy is crazy. It really is. But no, we actually need at least 5 Dems. 5. We have majority rule, not complete control of the government. Okay? So don't get it twisted.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of reporting this over the last 2 weeks, and what I found is that this shutdown is different than all of the other shutdowns that all of us have seen.
It feels
for
that
2
way,
reasons.
certainly.
One is because it comes after several rounds of layoffs and rifts and Doge. So the people inside the federal government have already been traumatized. They're already under siege. Hundreds of thousands have already been fired. And so now these actual institutions are kind of breaking down. And that's why we're going to see a lot of public services that people depend on really erode over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be really shocking. And the second thing is that both sides think they're winning. The Democrats think they're winning. The Republicans think they're winning. Trump thinks they're winning. Nobody has an incentive to back down. And that means we're going to be in this for a while. And the American people are happy to blame both sides. And I blame both sides, too. I think.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I'm honestly blaming the Dems. I'm gonna be real with you because I'm just remaining consistent. Like I said, the all the times that the GOP or the Republicans were the demanding party, we blamed them, and rightfully so, because they're the ones who either wanted to add or subtract on the CR bill. I mean, Trump wanted money for the wall, and he held up the government on that, and we blamed the GOP, rightfully so. So now that the Dems are the ones who wanted to add or who wanted to add to the CR bill, they're the demanding party. It's their fault since they don't want to sign the bill unless they get what they want. Just like how Trump wasn't willing to sign the bill unless he got what he wanted. You see how that works?
Both sides are at fault. But the problem is that once the government is broken, it's a lot harder to fix it. And if you're trying to break it, well, then it's even harder to fix it. So I think
the other part of this is that historically these other shutdowns, there were several during Trump's first term, it was very clear that the American public blamed the party that was holding out for the concessions. But in this case, that's not really what's happening. I mean,
and guys, match your logic up to reality. If we had full control, right, then why are we even like asking for Dems to vote? Actually, no, right? Well, think about it like this. Why even negotiate with Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer if we don't even need y'all vote? We got complete control of the government. We wouldn't even be here if that was right.
I think if you could generously describe this as a somewhat evenly divided public, blaming Trump and Republicans both equally and Dems in Congress about the same, but really Trump and Republicans in Congress have slightly more of the blame here, which is not typically how this goes for the party that is trying to reopen the government without making a deal.
It is a stalemate. I think it's about which party.
Now, that is a lie. A deal was made. We offered them a 1-year extension on the Obamacare health subsidies that they were trying to fearmonger on Americans, saying that, oh, your healthcare premium is going to rise any minute. Just wait until October. And guess what? Your health insurance premiums wasn't going to rise because those Obamacare enhanced self-care subsidies wasn't going to run out until December 31st. So that was a lie. And I hope you didn't fall for it.
Has the most tolerance for
Because Marjorie Taylor Greene did.
Political pain at the end of the day, because both are going to suffer in their districts across all of these states. But the fact is that the Democrats turned into a circus, what should have been a simple housekeeping measure, which was extending the Biden levels of spending in a clean CR. And it was clean. It was very clean. But instead, they decided to die on the hill of extending, making into perpetuity a COVID-era subsidy. Are we in COVID, guys? We're no longer it's not the pandemic anymore, right? So they wanted to extend that, and it wasn't even in the original Obamacare law, which raises the question, is the Democrats' purpose here under Obamacare?
And guys, let's remember, we only got in the Senate, we need 60 votes to make it pass. We only got 53 Republicans. Like I said, we got majority rule, but not complete. So yeah, right there. Think about that. We only got 53. We need at least 70, you guys. Well, actually, we need 5. Apparently, we were able to get 2 to flip, so we need 5 more.
It was supposedly under the pretense of affordable health care, right? But I think what Democrats really want is a boondoggle. They want a gravy train of Obamacare to just go on forever with no accountability whatsoever. A lot of premiums for patients haven't even gone down. So have they really even achieved the affordable health care that Obamacare promised? I'm not really so sure about that. And they could end this tomorrow by saying, we actually don't want our grab bag of
yeah, they were complaining about rural hospitals. Rural hospitals are still closing under Obamacare, so that was never solved.
We don't want the laundry list. We're just going to get the CR over the finish line and open the government.
Increasingly, you're hearing Republicans saying we need to fix the healthcare.
Yeah, you said that.
Like they recognize it's a problem.
You said that.
No. No, we all recognize that Obamacare is bullshit. We've been said that. The problem is that you Dems are the ones holding on to this bullshit ass Obamacare. That's the problem. Yes, we recognize that the healthcare system needs reform, but y'all are holding on to the system that needs reform.
on this hill, but a lot of Republicans are climbing up the same hill right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been outspoken about it. Mike Johnson got confronted on C-SPAN the other day by a Republican. I don't know. I know I'm a lot younger than you, so I'm closer to like 5th grade government 101, but this takes compromise. If you have 53 Republicans and you can't get 7 Democrats to sign on, that means they're not compromising. There were 13 CRs passed under Biden because they let Republicans into the room and they said, listen, you guys can talk to us. We'll talk to you. We'll negotiate. In this case, Democrats are essentially being shut out, and Donald Trump is posting AI memes of Hakeem Jeffries with a sombrero. So if you want to talk about a circus.
Oh, man. And that's just a freaking classic. I mean, you know what? I almost want to pull out that Hakeem Jeffries getting, his just deserved from Trump and Vance.
It's a meme war.
It's reciprocal from the Democrats. Donald Trump is the president. He should have a say.
Let me just
sombreros.
Quick, Scott. Let me play. This is Trump in 2019, back when he was president. Okay, so he was in the White House, and he was the one trying to keep the government shut down. Until he got his border wall. And here's what he said.
Thank you. I told you. I mean, that goes to prove my point. You're kind of feeding into the point right now, sis. Is like, Abby, you don't kind of see how you laid in that point. Think about it. You're right. Trump held up the government. The GOP held it up for the border wall. I mean, once y'all came to a compromise on what Trump could get for the border, the government was reopened. Now you guys are the demanding party. You guys want to add more funding to Medicaid. So it's your fault now. Well, not your fault, but the Dems' fault.
We
fair.
really have no choice but to build a powerful wall or steel barrier.
Man, look.
If we don't get a fair deal from Congress, the government will either shut down on February 15th again, or I will use the powers afforded to me under the laws and the Constitution of the United States to address this emergency.
All right, just to piss off the libs, we got to watch our favorite Hakeem Jeffries video. Shout out to you guys.
You're gonna have to learn to respect me. I'm sorry. You can stuff your sorries in a piñata, bitch. Where's the tough guy at, huh? Yeah, where's the tough guy at? The big bad wolf from the house floor? Talking all that smack on national TV? You ain't talking now, are you, bitch? I'm sorry. If Trump got something to say it to my face. Ain't that what you said? Yes, I'm sorry. Let me tag in, boss. Well, here I am. You little sombrero wearing piñata faced fuck! Yeah, you piñata faced fuck! Face to face with a little bitch motherfucker! Yeah, you little bitch motherfucker! Not so tough now, are you? I'm sorry! Trump was what? Trump was right about everything. I can't hear you! Trump was right about everything! Everything! Look at you. Crying like a little baby. Stand up straight when he's talking to you! Mr. President, I'm sorry. Oh, now I'm Mr. President? Where's the tough guy at? Yeah, where's the tough guy at? Obama told me to say that. You hear that, JD? I heard it, boss. Dollar Store Obama is getting orders from Pig Mike's husband. Lace curtain motherfucker! Are you gonna open up the government? Yeah.
True, just like how Obama told you that Obamacare was God's gift to earth. I mean, look where we're at now. Man.
Emergency.
Wasn't the first time, wasn't the last time that it was Trump and Republicans who were saying, we won't open the government until we get what we want in terms of concessions. Yeah,
I know. And now the Dems are doing it. So why are you guys trying to, blame it on the Republicans? If, think about it, follow her logic. She literally just made my point for me. I mean, shout out Abby Phillips. I mean, shout out to the Dems because they cooked themselves. Like, low key, they literally cooked themselves. Man. But pretty much he just admitted that, yeah, you're right. I mean, the demanding party is the one we blame, right, Abby? Since the Republicans were the one being demanding, and they said we wanted to add for the border. So keep that consistency and place the blame on the Dems. It's as easy as that. I mean, thank you. Shout out Abby, for accidentally telling the truth.
So the shoe has been on the other foot.
Yeah, and I don't know what relitigating a shutdown from 6 years ago does for us tonight. I do think both parties, I agree. I think they both think they're winning this in some way. And I interviewed Steve Scalise today on my radio show. He didn't sound like this. He thought it was going to come to an end anytime soon. Both of them have a pretty strong position.
I know. Okay, shout out to my man Hellbait said, pull up the sombrero. I got you.
Assume at some point they will wind up negotiating this health care deal. I agree with a lot of what you said about, I mean, this is a COVID-era program that Democrats are trying to extend, and it does call into question the status of American health care and the insurance system right now. But at some point, you know, these things typically end in some kind of a negotiation. These subsidies don't expire till the end of the year. It's October. They have plenty of time to deal with it.
So why not just come to the table right now? I mean, by the time we get to a negotiation, we'll be in November. I mean, we're almost mid-October at this point.
But I think
I mean,
part of the problem is that the system is so corrupt that
And
both
get to
parties, and
working
as you
on
know,
it.
I don't think highly of either one of these parties at all,
Same.
whatsoever. But what happens is, first you had a
All right, shout out Hellbat. This is the original Sombrero video, and then after this video, we're gonna get into a musical interlude. So shout out Seth.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us.
Facts.
So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
Yep, it's only a matter of time. Actually, shoot, some of them hate you and they don't even got to know English. It's just something kind of easy to do when you're pieces of crap. But hey, it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. All right, musical interlude.
Y'all preach peace with a fist in the air, huh? Funny how tolerance turns into a witch hunt.
Shout out Steph.
Well, I ain't playing nice no more. Cheering on death, you belong in a cage. Preaching love, but you're breathing rage. You say cancel this, cancel that. Think you're a woman, but your chest is flat. Preaching freedom while you chaining my tongue. I'll keep fighting to the last breath from my lung. Calling everyone Nazis and fascists. There's something wrong with your brain. Comparing yourself to Holocaust victims. Damn, you people are insane. Fuck the world. They don't want peace, they want control. Fuck the world. Trying to break my heart, my soul. Fuck the world. Lighting fires just to watch them burn. Fuck the world. It's our time, now the tide gon' turn. They don't want peace, they want control. Trying to break my heart, my soul. Cutting up kids' genitals, thinking that's right. We ain't going down without a fight. You don't heal, you rot and spread. Woke's a cancer, it kills instead. They divide us black, white, red, or blue. But hate look the same no matter the view. Every skin color, we're all the same. But these woke little cunts trying to divide and blame. Fuck the world. They don't want peace, they want control. Fuck the world. Trying to break my heart, my soul. Fuck the world. Lighting fires just to watch them burn. Fuck the world. It's our time, now the tide gon' turn. You say inclusion, but you cut me out. You say compassion, but you scream and shout. You say justice, but you kill the debate. Truth don't live where your hate creates. Fuck the world. They don't want peace, they want control. Fuck the world. Trying to break my heart, my soul. Fuck the world. Lighting fires just to watch them burn. Fuck the world. It's our time, now the tide gon' turn. Yeah.
Hilarious.
You can try.
I mean, hey, you know, this kind of proved this meme that I actually shout out to this because this literally just proved this meme right. I mean, is he wrong?
Republicans just want sexy white girls with perfectly round titties in their ads. We're here to say no to that. Democrats are the party of ugly ass people. And we want representation, you know, maybe some non-binary Latino midgets, maybe a couple of fat shamikas eating fried chicken and fighting at a Carnival cruise or a Waffle House or some shit like that. Just any ugly people. If they're too ugly to go outside, that's our people.
I mean, is he wrong though? Is he wrong? He's kind of spitting facts right now. I mean, for the one time. But all right, guys, let's get back to the show.
Vance signaling over the Vice President J.D. Vance signaling over the weekend that the president was not opposed to invoking the Insurrection Act in his effort to deploy the U.S. military in American.
Oh, and shout out Terry. She says, "My love, play SNL clip of Pam Bondi." Well, we have Bondi and Pam Bondi and Christy Gnomes. All right, cool. I'll go ahead and look it up now.
Cities for law enforcement purposes. Former President Barack Obama weighing in today. He had a warning about what he believes would be the broader consequences of that action.
When you have military that can direct force against their own people, that is inherently corrupting. When you have what looks like a deliberate end run around not just a concept, but a law that's been around for a long time, posse comitatus, that says, you know, you don't use our military on domestic soil unless there is an extraordinary emergency of some sort.
Like setting up an ice-free zone, ICE officers being attacked. I mean, the leadership of the city pretty much saying that they're not going to uphold federal law. You know, Obama, that's kind of teetering on it. That's teetering on. I ain't going to call it exactly that, but it's, you know, you're kind of treading there. Let's be honest.
That when you see an administration suggest that ordinary street crime is an insurrection, or
a terrorist act,
or a terrorist act. Yeah, that is a genuine effort to weaken how we have understood democracy.
Hold on. Y'all are crying about labeling? You guys have been labeling the entire MAGA, like into all of MAGA, Nazis. And let's be real. So you're telling me nobody's telling y'all not to go out there. Nobody's threatening y'all not to go to the No Kings protest. The No King protest is still on. Go ahead, do y'all. But I mean, we labeling y'all get labeled terrorists and y'all crying about it when guys been labeling us Nazis. Like, bro, cry me a river. Cry me a freaking river. Like, are you serious?
Stop whining. Your kids are soft.
All right, joining us now in the arena, CNN legal analyst Elliot Williams and CNN chief national affairs correspondent Jeff Zeleny are here. Scott and Jamal remain with us as well.
Of course we are.
The text chain is also joining us there on the left side of your screen. They're going to have additional analysis for you while we continue to chat here. Jeff Zeleny, you covered Obama's entire campaign, right? And I'm struck by the contrast of the candidate that we saw in 2008 and the energy there and sort of the laconic stylings of the now former president and the way he is coming across. He has not said a lot. That was more than really he has said in the past about the country, the president, and what he clearly seems to think is a slide toward authoritarianism. What do you make of his decision to kind of enter the chat in this way, so to speak, and the message that he has?
Look, he's been doing it with increasing frequency after being relatively silent throughout much of the.
Because, well, honestly, the Dems are trying to push for an insurrection. That's literally what they want, and they're going to call it authoritarian. And for us and for Trump trying to uphold federal law, they're going to call it authoritarianism, even though we just upholding immigration policies and law. But, hey, they're going to call it terrorism. They're going to call it authoritarian. I mean, God forbid, but I mean, this how the false flag is going to play out. And if I'm right, you heard it here. But all right, so there's going to be a mishap. Some protesters going to die. They're going to get the George Floyd treatment. That's going to galvanize people to actually start attacking the police and ICE officers every time they see them. And then that's going to head into a civil war. It's going to be between those who stand with the immigrants and the illegals and those who stand with the immigration law. And boom, shout out to the false flag that throws us into a civil war. I don't know what you're thinking, because I'm thinking the same goddamn thing. Like, but hey, you know, maybe if I say it out loud, it might not happen. Or maybe if I say it out loud, people will catch on.
First Trump administration, obviously during the Biden years, it was a little awkward for him to speak out. He's been speaking out much more this year, I think, than he probably has over the last almost 8 years combined. Look, he came across as more a professor.
And Dems, let's be honest, don't y'all want an insurrection? I mean, he's Hitler. He's a Nazi. He's the racist white man you hate the most. So, I mean, come on, y'all language sounds a bit insurrection-y. Like, let's be real. I mean, not even we talked about Biden the way y'all talk about Trump and him being impeached, and you know he ain't gonna be impeached. So what you about to do now? You know, King's protests ain't gonna work. So what you about to do now? I mean, let's be real. Y'all want to set off an insurrection, even if you won't say it out loud.
The professorial Barack Obama, the a little bit above it, taking a look at it. What I was most struck by was his sort of admonition to progressives. And that reminds me of something that we heard from him actually pretty frequently. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. He said this, he said, I'd say you can't just be a scold all the time.
Yep, and shout out Luna. It said no Kings. Yeah, it's pre-programmed for a false flag. I know it just all looks so suspicious, and I'm calling it out now. I mean, look, bro, if you're the liberal, make sure to keep your friends in line. Make sure to stay safe out there. You know, let your voices be heard. It's like we don't care that y'all are speaking out. I mean, it is what it is. But please be safe out there. And I know you're shocking to hear this from MAGA, but like, bro, be safe and watch out for the feds, man. We don't want y'all to get January 6th. Then y'all find out what we be talking about. We don't want that for y'all.
And he said progressives have a holier than thou superiority. So yes, he has some strong words to say for President Trump and the state in which the country finds itself, but also a little bit of tough medicine for Democrats and progressives as well. So I thought that was that's probably his biggest contribution to the chat, if you will, as Democrats try and rebuild themselves and rebuild their party out of the wilderness. He's trying to be pretty, trying to put his thumb on the scale in terms of the direction of the party.
That ain't gonna work out well.
Well, first of all, I think he's back in.
And that ain't gonna work out too well. But all right, man, let's get over to our man Lawrence. Yes, we're gonna stay on the left side of media because this man Lawrence is wilding. But actually, know what? Before we get into that, though, I did promise Terry I was gonna play this. So let's get into a comedic interlude. A shout out to Chanel. Well, sorry, not Chanel, but SNL. Spot on, because she did just go in there and start ripping into these guys. Like I said, they only had 10 months of performance on Pam Bondi to grill on. She had 4 years of their performance. Oh, did it shut down? Okay. All right. I got a warning. I got the warning. When you get that warning, guys, you got to go ahead and change script because they will shut down the stream because, well, hey, man, YouTube be picking and choosing. They pick and choose what they want to, try to get me on copyright for. But they gave me the warning, guys. They gave me the warning. I'll see if I can play the rest of it later. But, yeah, they definitely gave me that warning.
Of the United States the Vice President of the United States spent his Sunday morning stretching the truth on television. Margaret Brennan pushed through the fog of Vance speak to try to find out if there is a Republican position on the issue that Democrats insist must be included in any budget to fund the federal government.
What's that?
What is your vision for that health care policy? Do you want these tax credits to fade out over time, extend them, and then fade them out? Are you open to making them permanent?
Well, the tax credits go to some people deservedly, and we think the tax credits actually go to a lot of waste and fraud within the insurance industry. So we want to make sure that the tax credits go to the people who need them.
Waste and fraud in the health insurance industry is something Republicans have never worried about before. They've always protected it. There is a solution to that, which is to remove insurance companies from the healthcare system. Bernie Sanders and other Democrats have been advocating Medicare for all for years, which is the cleanest way to eliminate any waste in the health insurance industry. And of course, not one Republican supports that solution.
Lie again.
Republicans are clearly now running scared about having shut down the government because they refuse to continue the Democratic policy of helping people afford health insurance. The lowest scorer on any civics test in the United States Senate, Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville, who is now running for governor of Alabama, told reporters, quote, "We've got to make sure that premiums don't go sky high." And extreme right-wing Republicans.
All right. He BSing. He is definitely BSing. Always trying to act like, oh, they weren't trying to slip in there. Like, what was it? Medicaid for illegals or healthcare for illegals? Yes, you guys was. Yes, you are. And that's the only reason why you want the $1.5 trillion. You want to give healthcare to illegals and allow Medicaid and pharmaceutical corporations to overcharge us. So not only are you for the illegals and you're for basically slavery, but you're also for the corporate elites. I mean, Dems, please expose yourself more. But let's get into this liberal hive mind video that exposes the BS that he's, well, pretty much trying to tell y'all. Because shout out to this video right here. It exposed a lot.
The Minnesota State Department of Human Services, and take a look.
So I was scanning this over. This is from the Department of Human Services. This is a Minnesota healthcare programs update, and there's one thing in here that I found interesting. Changes to Minnesota Care citizenship requirements beginning January 1st, 2026. Undocumented non-citizens who are 18 years or older are not eligible for Minnesota Care.
Hold on now. Wait, so you're telling me that we were right the entire time? Go back on that.
Human Services. This is a Minnesota healthcare programs update, and there's one thing in here that I found interesting. Changes to Minnesota Care citizenship requirements beginning January 1st, 2026. Undocumented non-citizens who are 18 years or older are not eligible for Minnesota Care.
So they just admitted it right there and then that, yeah, well, y'all used to be eligible for Minnesota Care, but now you're not, starting, next year. So yes, next year, illegals or undocumented citizens, like they like to call them. I don't know how undocumented immigrants, but undocumented immigrants are pretty much going to lose their Medicare or their state-sponsored health service. So, I mean, Dems, were we lying? No. But, I mean, if that's what y'all want, just be honest.
So it reads, beginning January 1st, 2026, undocumented non-citizens, again with this pathetic left-wing doublespeak, illegal migrants, you absolute fools, undocumented non-citizens. It's funny how they're constantly adding more and more complex wordage. Oh, they're undocumented non-citizens, non-American Americans, right? No, they're freaking illegals, you malacas. But anyways, undocumented non-citizens who are 18 years old or older are not eligible for Minnesota Care. Written right there, black and white, straight from the Democrat governor and Democratic legislature. And so I guess after all the denials, after Elizabeth Warren going on every media outlet and saying, it's just not happening. Oh, it's just not happening.
There is nothing in Medicaid, there is nothing in Medicare that permits one undocumented immigrant to get $1 of assistance.
I guess it's now confirmed that illegal migrants were in fact receiving taxpayer-funded health care. And of course, they claim, oh, well, those are state funds, but obviously we are not stupid. We understand how basic accounting works, and clearly they're using state funds, and then it's subsidized by federal Medicaid dollars. It's a laundering scheme, pure and simple. Fund illegals with state money, then use federal reimbursements to offset the cost. And now I guess the big question is, again, the suspicious timing. Why are they suddenly, all of a sudden, cutting off illegal migrants? Why now? An easy answer, right? Because the Trump administration now cut off the federal Medicaid loophole that Democrats were abusing to...
He shrunk the budget. Yeah, by shrinking the budget, that means there's less waste. Well, I mean, for real with you, less fraud and abuse, less overspending, and it could be better allocated to the American people. I mean, like I say, we were overspending on Medicaid. We're overspending on healthcare in general. And it's mainly because we kind of sell out to the corporations, but also this as well is that we try to overstuff our budgets so we can go ahead and, be a little sneaky with it, be a little sly, slip in, healthcare for illegals. Nobody gonna notice, until somebody brings it up.
fund illegal migrant health care on a state level. And so without federal monies now coming in to backfill the scam, the state can no longer afford it. And so quietly they send a letter now. We are removing illegal migrants from Minnesota care. Absolutely busted. In other words, these Democrats have been lying to your face, pretending as if this whole fight is about values. Ooh, values. As if they're fighting on behalf of American people. But clearly they aren't. And not only are they lying about funding illegal migrant health care, they're also lying about the shutdown that they're causing to continue that program in the first place, claiming, oh, it's Republicans this. And all the while, as they shut down government, they're engaging in these disgusting political stunts like this one from Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey.
We just wanted to come by and check in. The shutdown's terrible. I'm really sorry about it. I know it affects each of you personally, so
that's crazy though. Like, yeah, let me come in your face right here. Let me just say, yeah, sorry, won't be getting paid. Sorry, won't be getting paid because we're being stubborn over healthcare. But don't worry, guys, don't worry. Y'all may not be getting paid, but I am. So at least you can be happy. Somebody's getting a paycheck. Yeah, no, yeah, she still gets paid.
we just wanted to come by and say hello and check in. And yesterday was the busiest day ever at Logan Airport. Amazing. Record day yesterday, and you guys just made it all go still, huh? Amazing. Who was here in the last time for the shutdown, 35 days?
It was hard.
Yeah.
Pay rent, groceries was hard.
We have an amazing team here, a lot of support. We had last shutdown, we had a lot of reach out from the community.
Yeah.
And it really goes a long way.
The public, I hope, needs to show appreciation for you guys showing up and doing this work. You're workers, you deserve to be paid, and government's got to reopen. Thank you for hanging in.
So, yeah. Kind of wild how they're selling it, but let's get it over to my man Lawrence, who's trying to deny the facts.
Lowest score on any civics test in the United States Senate, Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville, who is now running for governor of Alabama, told reporters, quote, "We've got to make sure that premiums don't go sky high." And extreme right-wing Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene has said Republicans are wrong on this issue. And she's now blaming the shutdown on the Republican refusal to meet the Democrats on the healthcare issue. The Republican history of lying about government healthcare policy.
Yeah, and I already said Marjorie Taylor fell for it. And that BS she was talking on Tim Dillon, low-key made me mad. Because I'm just like, look, Marjorie, look, at least I know that you're not APAC funded, but you are being lobbied by the construction companies, obviously, because you ain't never just sat there and say that, oh, yeah, well, we need to think about the illegals. Me coming from the construction. Yeah, the main people who abuse illegal workers, the main people who underpay them, the main people who put them over American workers so you guys can make y'all profit, right? So you can underpay them, right? Those same ones, like, man, that shit, I ain't gonna lie, she had me fucked up on that one. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, that was an L argument that you had on Tim Dillon. You kind of exposed that you are for the corporations when it comes to construction. And guess who's in construction? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
He goes all the way back to the early
Hey, I call out both sides.
1960s, when Ronald Reagan, before he was ever elected to office, was a very vocal opponent of Medicare, saying that Medicare was the worst possible thing this country could do. When Congress was debating whether to enact Medicare in 1965, Ronald Reagan said Medicare would destroy America. He said, behind it will come other federal programs.
Well, I mean, let's be quite honest. It didn't help out too well. I mean, let's be quiet. We should have spent more time making it healthcare affordable than trying to, subsidize it or kind of making a welfare for or a social service of it, because it became our biggest expenditure. And if we want to balance the budget, we have to come down to reality that, yeah, we kind of overdid it when it came to the social services, because our biggest expenditures are social services, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. That's just a fact of the matter. I mean, y'all want to sit here and talk about military spending, but I mean, I don't want to talk about that healthcare spending. You don't want to talk about Social Security spending.
That will invade every area of freedom as we have known it in this country, until one day, as Norman Thomas said, we will awake to find that we have socialism.
In a way.
That's the Republican lie, and that's how old it is. And Republicans.
I mean, that's the problem, though. We give you guys all this money. You guys dedicated to Medicaid. You guys go out there and give and let the corporations write you guys a blank bill because you have a $1.2 trillion budget. So let's be real. I mean, pharmaceutical companies overcharge us for that reason as well. I mean, you might want to start looking at other countries who do have the universal health care, and it's only because they kind of maintain their budget. They say, yeah, we won't let you guys abuse this budget. We're going to pay you this much, and you corporations are going to be happy. Now, that may no longer work since a lot of these corporations are going to be having to pay up because most favored nation prices will be handed to the United States as well. So we're going to see where that goes, but let's be honest, though. The Medicaid system, the healthcare system became America's biggest expenditure and is hurting us. And it should have never got to that.
Have never stopped lying about healthcare policy.
And it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It just had a bad effect. I mean, let's be real. The road to evil was paved with good intentions, right? So this is perfect now. Well, this is the perfect situation to kind of go to the point.
Remember how they lied about President Obama advocating death panels in his health care bill?
President Obama stood before a joint session of Congress and said there is no such thing as a death panel. Is he a liar?
He is not lying in that those two words will not be found in any of those thousands of pages of different variations of the health care bill. No, death panel isn't there. But he's incorrect, and he is disingenuous.
He was correct, and she was constantly lying about death panels. On Meet the Press, the vice president said this.
James Comey obviously lied under oath. Letitia James obviously committed mortgage fraud.
And on ABC, he said this.
Tom Homan did not take a bribe. It's a ridiculous.
Now, that is also true, though. Universal health care, I mean, let's be real. It also isn't the answer as well. We need to find something in between of our current one and universal. We need to kind of work in the middle somewhere. But yeah, the way things are right now, we're overspending on it. And if we truly want to balance the budget, I mean, man, all social services would have to be cut by 40%. Like at a certain, you would have to do that to completely balance out the budget. Of course, military spending would have to be cut too. But I'll tell you this right now, though, like if you really want to balance the budget, it's going to have to be Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security.
The smear.
How does he know? How does he know who's guilty and who isn't guilty? How does he know any one of those things that he just said? It is worth noting that no vice president of the United States in history before this one has decided to comment on the guilt of federal criminal defendants awaiting trial. That's never happened before. It is not unusual for a vice president to defend members of his administration against accusations of all sorts, but James David Vance is especially bad at it when it comes to bags of cash handed by FBI undercover agents to Tom Homan and captured secretly.
That Tom Homan denied. So, but we'll see though, because they said they're going to carry out that investigation. So we'll see.
FBI undercover agents to.
Well, never mind. Actually, my bad. Nope. Actually, no. They said they're dropping that investigation. I remember Kash Patel was in front of Congress, and he said, "Yeah, we dropped it because there was lack of evidence."
Captured secret.
Honestly, it was just another example of, well, the Dems playing dirty and just trying to go after, well, people who are aligned with Trump.
On secretly recorded FBI video.
Trying to Matt Gates.
You said he didn't take a bribe, but I'm not sure you answered the question. Are you saying that he did not accept the $50,000?
George, this story has been covered ad nauseum. He did not take a bribe. Did he accept $50,000? I'm sure that in the course of Tom Homan's life, he has been paid more than $50,000 for services. The question is, did he do something illegal?
And there you finally see the shape of the new White House defense of the man recorded on FBI videotape taking $50,000 in cash. J.D. Vance asks himself.
Now, here's the thing, though. $50,000 in cash for what? Did he render a service? Because you guys said, oh, it was for favors, right? But you guys can't prove that. I mean, if you got the man on camera accepting cash, well, one, I suggest you guys drop that video. And then two, I mean, hopefully you have the context of what the conversation is said. Because I'm pretty sure if you drop the video, we hear the context of the conversation and figure out you guys were lying. But I would drop that video because other than that, it just sounds like you guys are lying and you guys are just probably not going to show the video because it comes with full context of the conversation, which would probably show Holman getting paid for services.
The question, did he accept the $50,000? And then he says, I'm sure that in the course of Tom Homan's life, he has been paid more than $50,000 for services. So that's the defense. Yes, he took the money, but it was for services. What services could he possibly perform for undercover FBI agents who were lying about who they were? That's the kind of defense that has tripwires all around it, as the vice president demonstrated.
Gee.
I'm asking you, did he accept the 50?
Tom Homan, let's see here. His net worth is estimated between $3 million and $9 million, according to financial disclosure documents. This reflects a significant increase from his maximum declared assets of about $250,000 in 2017 from after his career in the federal service. So let's see here. Sources of wealth: consulting and nonprofit work. Following his retirement as acting ICE director in 2018, Homan, let's see here, entered the private sector, which transformed his finances. During this time, he became a frequent commentator on Fox News and founded a nonprofit, Border 9/11. I mean, he's also worked as a corporation consultant. He's also, and let's see here, government ethics disclosure. Oh, yeah, he already disclosed his net worth. So, yeah, JD Vance is right. Tom Homan not broke. So to sit there and trying to make it sound suspicious that, how could he have ever gotten paid $50K in his life? I mean, bro's worth $90 million, at least $3 million. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's made at least over $50K in a transaction before, or an errand for rendering services, if he's worth that much money.
$50,000 that was caught on the surveillance.
I mean, let's be real. If y'all go mention the $50,000, wouldn't it also make sense to mention my man's net worth as well? You guys can look this up as well. I'm not BSing you. You could go and look it up, Google it, Chat GPT. The man's worth about $3 million to $9 million from financial disclosure records. So this could be proven. So why aren't they also mentioning that as well? Because I mean, for a man that's worth $3 to $9 million, I mean, 50,000 it's a lot of money, but it isn't that much to somebody like him.
Did he accept that $50,000 or not?
George, I don't know what you're talking about. Did he accept $50,000 for what?
He was recorded on an audio tape in September 2024, an FBI surveillance tape, accepting $50,000 in cash. Did he keep that money?
For what? For what? In what context of the conversation? Were they handing over evidence? Like, yeah, we found 50,000 on the suspect, sir. Here it is. Or like, what's the context of it? That's what I'm saying. Release the video and let us hear it in full context. Otherwise, you guys are lying. And you're taking the video out of context and you're just not going to show us. You're not going to tell us. You're just going to say what's on the video of, he accepted $50,000. What was the conversation surrounding it? I mean, why can't we see the video? Like, come on now. And let's not pretend like the man ain't already worth money. He's been worth money for a while now.
Accepting $50,000 for doing what, George? I'm not even sure I understand the question. Is it illegal to take a payment for doing services? The FBI has not prosecuted him. I've never seen any evidence that he's engaged in criminal wrongdoing. Nobody has accused Tom of violating a crime, even the far left media like yourself. So I'm actually not sure what the precise question is. Did he accept $50,000?
And the DOJ ends probe into Homan's allegedly accepting $50K in FBI sting. So pretty much there must have been no evidence there. And if they released the video in full context, it would probably prove Tom Homan's innocence.
Honestly, George, I don't know the answer to that question.
And so there's your answer.
Bruh.
I don't know. Did he accept $50,000? There are three possibilities: yes, no, and I don't know. And JD Vance just picked, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question were his exact words.
Mm-hmm.
Vice President seemed to realize just how much trouble he was in. And so he tried to backtrack and say, He doesn't even know what tape we're talking about.
You're saying right now you don't know whether or not he kept that money.
I don't know what tape you're referring to, George. I saw media reports that Tom Homan accepted a bribe. There's no evidence of that. And here's, George, why fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Because you're talking for now 5 minutes with the Vice President of the United States about this story regarding Tom Homan, a story that I've read about, but I don't even know the video that you're talking about.
And why don't you play the damn video? I mean, so we can know them full context. Release the video for the public so there's no running away from it. I mean, if they really had something, they'd have dished it out. I mean, now that all they have is this video that everybody's speculating on because we ain't seen it. And if they seen it, man, show us something we ain't never seen before. Please and thank you.
He does know. Of course he knows. And George Stephanopoulos ably exposed what the vice president knows, what he doesn't know, and what he's incapable of answering.
Hey, bro, you being this is petty, bro. This is petty. Are you serious? Heat up, like, why not ask Homan? I mean, if Homan said, I don't know, we'd have a story because he'd be like, all right, bro, come on now, you're part of it. What the fuck you mean you don't know? Excuse my language. But it's JD Vance. He's had nothing to do with this. What are you talking about, bro? You're being petty. This is too petty. I see why people stop watching MSNBC. Even if I was a lib, I'd be like, this is petty as hell. Like, what do you, bro? Just because he says, I don't know, you had a 9-minute monologue for JD Vance saying, I don't know? How much they pay this man? How much? Because, bro, y'all need to get y'all money back. Because ain't no way this man just wasted money like this. Bro. Oh, man. I couldn't be a CEO at MSNBC. I'd be putting my head through a wall or throwing my ass out the hotel window. I am not suicidal, by the way. But all right, guys, let's go ahead and get into it.
3 weeks ago, President Trump named 3 people in that Truth Social post to Attorney General Pam Bondi that he wanted prosecuted. 2 of them have now been indicted. You're not only the Judiciary Chair, you also lead a subcommittee on weaponization of federal government. So will you be looking into this?
Well, look, I think that this Justice Department is applying the facts to the law. I mean, if John Bolton, a federal judge, thought there was probable cause when they searched John Bolton's house, you had mentioned him, that he mishandled classified information, apply the facts to the law. We'll see if they prosecute there. We know with Letitia James, for example, that you can't say it's your secondary residence and then, in fact, make it an investment property. It looks like she did that. They're applying the facts to the law, and there's that investigation. And, of course, we know with Jim Comey that he specifically hired this individual, Daniel Richman, to leak information. He laundered information through Richman, leaked that information out there. The Comey memos, for goodness sake, went through Mr. Richman. And then Comey, when he testifies, says something different. So that's why he's being prosecuted. So this is our Justice Department, under the leadership of the Attorney General, applying the facts to the law like you are supposed to. Not the weaponization of government like we saw under Biden, like we saw under Merrick Garland, like we saw with Chris Wray. So this is, I think...
Hey, no, shut up, Vlad. Steve says an anonymous source said it was true. It must be true. If it's something negative about Trump or anybody in Trump's administration, Vlad, that's the exact logic.
Completely different situation.
Okay, so let's just unpack some of that, if I may, Mr. Chairman. You were talking about the facts and some of the issues that went before the grand jury and allowed for the indictments in the case of James and Comey. But the question is beyond what's happening in the courtrooms or in the Justice Department. It's what's happening between the President of the United States and the Justice Department and these U.S. attorneys. And just kind of look at it big picture, the President pushed out the U.S. attorney overseeing the Comey and James cases. The President himself appointed this U.S. attorney, and that person was a Trump supporter.
Which he has the right to do.
Right, he has the right to do. But the President did so because he thought that this man was not pursuing these cases against his political enemies. So my question is, given the fact that the President has been so public about his desire for the prosecution of these people who he says are his political enemies, how is that just following the law inside the Justice Department? Isn't this the political weaponization that you talk about?
No, you got to go to the facts of the case. The president has the prerogative to say what he wants, and he will do that. No one's ever doubted that the president will say what's on his mind and frankly do what he told the American voters he was going to do. So that's one thing. But this is about applying the facts to the law, and that's exactly what's taking place in this Justice Department. You cannot argue with the fact Jim Comey said one thing to under oath in front of the United States Congress. That's what he's being charged for: false statements to the Congress, 18 U.S.C. 1001. You cannot argue that he did that, particularly when you know the facts from the Inspector General with this individual, Daniel Richmond, who Comey specifically hired to launder information to folks like you in the press.
Do you believe that the Justice Department is acting independently from the president?
I think the Justice Department is applying the facts to the case.
But are they doing it under
the
pressure from the president? Are they trying to find ways to indict people who the president...
I mean, let's be real. If they're guilty, they're guilty. I mean, let's be real with you. It doesn't matter. I'm be quite honest with you. It does not matter if he's guilty or not. I mean, if the president applied pressure, let's say Epstein was alive. If the president was applying pressure to arrest Jeffrey Epstein, you wouldn't be complaining. I mean, even if it's a political opponent, let's say this political opponent was caught on camera doing something crazy and Trump demanded his arrest. Are you guys going to say that's like wrong too? Here's the thing. It doesn't matter what Trump says. It doesn't. Is there credible evidence? Well, apparently there is, because he got indicted, and he wouldn't have got indicted if there wasn't some reasonable suspicion or some evidence that links him to the charges. So honestly, it doesn't even matter if Trump ordered it or not. Were there enough facts? Was there enough evidence to indict on? It is what it is. I mean, what was it? We just supposed to let him break the law and walk off into the sunset, putting 8647 in what, on the beach? Like, come on now. No, he broke a law. He's being held accountable, regardless if Trump acts for it or not.
Said publicly in that post, he wants to be prosecuted.
I think that, Dan, I think they're doing their job. I think they are doing their job. I know the kind of information they're giving to Congress, information we did not get under the previous FBI.
I'm sorry, but Akira, that one took me out. I'm not laughing because of that's actually happening. I'm laughing that you actually believe that. I mean, they don't care if they're attacking children and cancer babies. Like, oh my God, how could you support such evil? Oh man.
Stop whining. Your kids are soft.
So I can't even address that one. The cancer babies is crazy.
Director or from the previous attorney general information. We had looked at this issue where the FBI and the Richmond field office did this memorandum on Catholics, saying if you're a pro-life Catholic, you're somehow an extremist. We got like a handful of documents from Chris Wray, even though we asked for everything.
Should they be doing their job under pressure from the president?
They are doing their job.
So you're saying you're comfortable with that?
They are doing their job.
But you're comfortable with them doing this?
Applying the facts to the law. I'm looking at each individual case, enforcing the law and applying the facts to that. And that's what I think is going on.
I'll add one more application
in the three examples that you raised.
Forgive me. I'll ask one more application to that. Applying the facts, applying the law, fine. How about applying pressure from the White House? You're comfortable with that, given the fact that you...
Does it matter? If he's guilty, he's guilty. Like, whatever pressure from the White House, it don't matter. Well, if the White House pressured to charge him, bro, it doesn't matter. I mean, even if Trump said, yeah, try to charge him, if they don't have no evidence to indict him on, then it doesn't matter what the president says. If there's not enough evidence, it don't matter what the president says. So even the president was, hey man, bro, F that guy Comey. I see what he did with the seashells, man. Get that boy. It doesn't matter. If there's actual evidence that he's guilty, he's gonna get indicted. All right.
We're very upset about what you called weaponization, so much that you have a whole new subcommittee on it.
The president is speaking his mind, and I think that's entirely appropriate. What I know this Justice Department is doing is the good work that they're supposed to do, looking at the law, looking at the facts, looking at each individual case, and moving forward, I think, in an appropriate fashion.
Let's talk about these
cases. You can't argue with, Jim Comey, by the way, Jim Comey is where it all, so you talk about weaponization, that's where it all started. 9 years ago, Jim Comey's the guy who took the dossier paid for by the other party's
But that's not what he's being prosecuted for.
Used that. I understand that, but I'm just saying this is, you want to talk about weaponization? It's Jim Comey's where it started. That is totally where it started. He took the dossier, went to the secret court to get a warrant to spy on the other party's campaign.
So this is retribution.
Then they changed the intelligence community assessment.
I mean, does it really matter? If he broke the law, he broke the law. I mean, it doesn't matter. If it's retribution, he broke the law and he should be held accountable. And if he didn't, then he'll be proven innocent and he'll walk free. And this will just be all one bad memory that we can move past. So get over it.
After the first,
so you're saying this is retribution against
looking
him.
At the facts, looking
now,
at the law. No, I'm just saying Jim Comey. This is you mentioned weaponization. I'm saying that's where it all started. Well, what I'm saying is happening here is.
I mean, like, come on.
That shit is hard. Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
They're looking at the facts and they're applying the law to each individual case.
Let me ask about those cases. Are you worried, as an attorney and somebody who understands how these cases work, that what the president's comments are doing is actually undermining the cases when they actually come before a judge and jury?
I mean, we'll see how that all shakes. I'm not worried about that. Again, they're going to prosecute the case. Mr. Comey's presumed innocent. That's one of the great things about our system. And they will present the evidence in the court, and we'll see what happens as they move forward. But I am comfortable with them moving forward. I am comfortable with the indictment.
And if he's guilty, it is what it is. I mean, then what? Then what can you say? I mean. Did it really matter? Is it okay to lie to Congress? Is it okay to obstruct justice or obstruct investigation? I'd ask Dana that. I mean, regardless if Trump, hands it down or not. I mean, shouldn't we prosecute that? I'd have to ask her. Like, what are you gonna say? Just because they're a political opponent, we shouldn't prosecute crimes? So pretty much, if I'm a Republican or if Trump's in office and a Democrat commits a crime, what, it can't be prosecuted without you guys saying what? It's political retribution? Like, come on now. Come on. That don't even make sense.
Because I think when you look at the facts.
And you're comfortable with the president's role as well?
This is warranted.
Just to button that, you're comfortable with the president's role?
I'm very comfortable I'm very comfortable with this president. I mean, you talk about, we're celebrating today what's happening in the Middle East. What
of course, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in this issue.
I'm so comfortable with the president. I'm comfortable with the president and how he's handled his entire responsibilities with this issue, with foreign policy, with the border, with tax policy, you name it.
I want to ask you about a flood of videos that we're all seeing on social media showing immigration officers across the U.S. using pretty aggressive tactics. There was one from Friday showing agents pinning a Chicago TV station employee to the ground. She was later released without charges. Another shows ICE.
Oh, that fat ass. So you mean the fat ass that was throwing things at ICE and ended up getting her ass arrested? Sorry, guys. It's getting late. But yes, the person who pretty much threw something at ICE and got her fat ass arrested. Yeah, I'm sorry, but
lock his ass up. Lock his ass up. You're going to jail. You're going to jail.
Also,
brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Employee to the ground. She was later released without charges. Another shows ICE agents shooting.
Got arrested with her pants down. Oof, that must have been a terrible sight.
Unarmed pastor in the head with pepper balls. There were countless more showing agents tackling people.
And, to give you guys context, now they told these guys, and shout out to my man Maine for filling this one in, but they told these guys that a car was coming out. ICE was trying to leave the facility. These guys got in the way of the gate so these cars couldn't leave. So, these guys hopped out on the roof and started shooting them, with pepper balls. I know, right? Painful. But it was warranted. Why? Because you can't just get in the way. And then once that pastor got shot and taken, away to get medical treatment, most likely, then the cars start moving out.
People pulling them from cars, shoving journalists, detaining U.S. citizens, questioning their citizenship. Do you have any concerns as you see all this about how ICE and other immigration agencies are conducting themselves?
Look, I don't know the specifics of those examples you gave. What I do know is these ICE agents are under tremendous pressure. Many times you talked about, some people have raised a concern about them wearing masks and different things. Many times the Antifa people who are protesting against them in these, in Chicago, in these ice-free zones, according to the mayor of Chicago. I think they're functioning and working under extreme pressure. I think they're doing a good job by and large. I don't know the specifics of the examples you just cited.
Are you going to look into it?
Well, we're going to look into the whole situation where you have these mayors who are
are you going to look
pressuring
into
back
the way
against
that
these
ICE
sanctuary
is
cities,
conducting
ice-free
itself?
zones, where they're being harassed by Antifa protesters who are wearing masks and doing all kinds of things, where I think threatening the.
So you'll
the
only
actual
look into
federal
that side
facilities.
and not to
So
make sure that federal law enforcement, federal.
I'm not familiar with the three. I think you gave three examples.
Well, those were just some.
Three, but we'll
there are lots of them.
Okay,
I mean, y'all feeding into that. No, not at all, actually. No, those are manufactured ones. You guys are trying to frame it as ICE is acting, well, unlawfully and they're out of control, which, no, they're not. The problem is you guys are out of control. You guys are pulling up to them, trying to entrap them, trying to hurt them, trying to stop them from arresting, also recording them while they arrest. So I'm gonna be real with you. They don't even got much room to slip up on. And then y'all put yourselves in harm's way and then cry about it to the media. So yeah, there's not really too much cases of ICE being violent. There's a lot of cases though of protesters getting out of hand. Well, they get violent though.
We're the Judiciary Committee. We have oversight over immigration policy. We'll look into all this. But I think the ICE agents are doing the Lord's work. They're doing what the president promised the American people he was going to do when he ran for the job and was elected in a big way. So I think they're doing their duty. What's interesting is the pushback they're getting in these sanctuary jurisdictions and these ICE-free zones, where many times they're coming to, they've sent a detainer to the facility. And they will release the person to the streets, the bad guy to the streets, and won't work with ICE at all.
Mr.
That
Chairman,
is a big problem, something we are definitely concerned about.
Mr. Chairman, we're almost out of time. I do want to ask you about the Trump administration started to lay off about 4,000 federal workers on Friday night. Your fellow Republican, Lisa Murkowski, said that this is something that will, quote, hurt hardworking Americans who have dedicated their lives to public service and jeopardize agency missions once we finally reopen the government. Why is the president firing people who have no say in this shutdown?
Dan, the easiest way to remedy this is for Chuck Schumer to open up the government. I mean, we should just be clear. The real debate here is the one Chuck Schumer's having with himself.
This is a decision by the administration.
6 months ago, he voted for it. Now he won't. This would be so simple. You wouldn't even have to deal with this question if Chuck Schumer would just do what he did 6 months ago. But instead, he's hanging around waiting for Saturday. I'd be interested if Chuck Schumer's actually going to show up at this No Kings, anti-Trump, crazy left-wing rally that's going to happen in D.C. I think they're waiting for that because
so you're okay with using
by
this
the hard left
firings
that
as a
now
tactic?
controls the party.
You're comfortable with using the firing of federal workers as a tactic to try to
well, the administration, we got a
Democrats?
$37 trillion debt, and we got Chuck Schumer who won't open the government. What are they supposed to do? So that's the tough situation right now. Thank goodness the president's stepping up and saying, we're going to help our troops. I mean, Chuck Schumer says every day gets better for them, thinking totally politically. Well, it's not getting better for the men and women who
I mean, if y'all think holding up the government is going to win y'all the midterms, then you guys are sadly mistaken. I mean, you're not even waiting on that whole healthcare crisis you guys were talking about. That wasn't going to happen. I mean, because trust me, what they say, millions of people are going to die because of this healthcare cuts. And man, they cannot count one death yet. But all right, guys, let's move on to the topic of China, so we can get into China's economy. All right, let's start off with my man, Scott Besson. Let's see, here we go.
China put on more rare earth export controls last night, and Argentina is rich in rare earths and rich in uranium, and I think they are committed to U.S. private companies coming in and being good partners with them.
China overnight defending new export controls of rare earth minerals as a, quote, legitimate measure. This as the White House plans to hit an additional 100% tariff on Beijing starting November 1st. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer joins me now. Ambassador, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So huge developments on Friday. President Trump canceling his plans to meet with Xi Jinping at the end of the month, also announcing these 100% tariffs on top of the existing 30% set to begin November 1st. Countries all over the world are going to be impacted by this. The Ministry of Commerce posted overnight China's export controls are not export bans. Licenses will be granted for eligible applications. Before the measures were announced, China had already notified relevant countries and regions through bilateral export control dialogue mechanisms. I assume the U.S. was not notified since the president said this came as a surprise. But how do you read this message? Does this look like a walk back to you guys?
Well, clearly, the Chinese have realized that they have wildly overstepped the bounds of what's acceptable. I can tell you that we were not notified, and quickly, as soon as we found out from public sources, we reached out to the Chinese to have a phone call, and they deferred. However, in the past couple of days, I think it's become very clear to everybody that this power grab by the Chinese won't be tolerated. So I think some of this messaging has signaled that they understand that there's a serious issue here.
Do you see this meeting happening between Trump and Xi at the end of the month?
Well, it could. The president's going to be over there. Presumably, President Xi will be there. If there's an interest in talking, the president famously is always willing to talk. We've already had outreach at the staff level on the Chinese side. So we will see. What I will say is, we cannot allow this new program to assert control over exports of technology in the United States and around the world. That's something that can't stand.
And that's a point we should get to, because rare earths are critical for a lot of things, everything from semiconductor chips to electric vehicles. There's been a lot of focus on the tariff threat and how that would affect regular people. But, how could China's crackdown on these?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like China limiting their exports of rare earth minerals to the United States and making other countries do it, if that plan would have succeeded, let's be real, that have skyrocketed prices. And let's be real, the American people wouldn't even have noticed. Well, the Dems wouldn't even have noticed because they'd have been too busy blaming tariffs instead of blaming the limited amount of rare earth minerals, which means we can only make a limited amount of products, which means that's going to be a decrease in supply, which is going to raise prices.
Rare earths have big consequences. And what is the plan? Does Argentina end up playing a role?
Well, listen, we use the term rare earths. They're actually not that rare. We have them in the U.S., Australia, Argentina, as was noted. True. The challenge is that China has control.
Yeah, it is not about having rare earths, because we got rare earth. We got them. The problem is rare earth refining. Rare earth refining is straining on the environment and is also hard to do. But to be honest with you, we can develop the technology for refining rare earth, but we'd also have to cut, regulations as well, because it is very taxing on the environment.
Controlled all the processing, almost 90% of the processing. They've amassed a monopoly, and they've undercut other countries that try to produce it. So that's why we're in. Facts.
And I said the only way we can stop China's monopoly, well, to be quite honest with you, is a regime change. We'd have to regime change. We have to get a regime change in China and force them to break up their monopoly on rare earth refineries. Yeah, so that's the only way, unless we can get the CCP to do it willfully and make them break up their monopoly. But I don't think they're doing that unless we can get a regime change or a whole new mindset in China.
The challenge is that China has controlled all the processing, almost 90% of the processing. They've amassed a monopoly, and they've undercut other countries that try to produce it. So that's why we're in this particular situation. So certainly other countries can play a part in this. And by the way, the rare earths and these critical materials, they certainly go into household objects, cars, smartphones we talk to each other on. But there are also other applications, satellites and defense equipment. So this is a serious issue.
The rare earths were one point of leverage that we know China was going to hold on to ahead of these trade negotiations. The other point of leverage is these soybean farmers. China's been holding U.S. soybean farmers hostage for about a year. Last year, the U.S. exported 12.
I know instead of buying their soybeans from us, they went ahead and bought their soybeans from Argentina, the same Argentina that we're giving $20 billion to help bail out to stabilize their currency. Because if they fail, then it looks bad on the the International Monetary Fund, which is mainly connected to the U.S.
12.6 billion in soybeans to China. This year, it's zero, and China represents 49% of the market for soybeans. The administration's been planning a bailout for these farmers. It was stalled by the shutdown, but can you tell us what that will ultimately look like?
Sure, that will look like a bridge. There will be some pots of money that will be deployed for a bridge for our farmers. We know our farmers don't want a handout; they want to trade. So one thing that my office is doing and the president is doing is we're also opening markets overseas. Cambodia has lowered its tariffs on soybeans already. Vietnam has done the same. A number of countries are doing purchase orders, and not just with soybeans, other row crops like corn, et cetera. So there's going, and we're looking at domestic uses of soybeans as well, and fuels, et cetera. So there are a multi-pronged approach to solving that issue.
The Treasury Secretary said we might be seeing something like direct subsidies.
Let's be honest. That's that's really the only thing that China can honestly stop buying from us is agriculture. They need everything else because, well, everything else that they purchase from us is they use for their manufacturing. So soybeans, them purchasing soybeans, honestly, that was a good tactic to hurt our farmers. But I mean, here's the problem with that, though. The problem with that is that, well, I'm gonna be real with you. I think it's that honestly, to probably start farming, they should probably stop with the soybeans, especially if we can't get another country to buy them. But then for China to be, I mean, let's be real. When it comes to this whole soybean thing, they won that. They won this round with the soybeans, but they lost the round when it comes to tariffs. Why? Because the only thing that's honestly protected, the only industry that's protected in China is the tech industry. Clothing, like appliances, everything else gets decimated under tariffs. The reason why is because we can go other places for clothing. We can go to the place for textiles and other things as well. It's mainly the rare earth minerals that we need China for. So that's why I say we win the war when it comes to tariffs, because these companies have to keep their business with us or they just shut down altogether. So we kind of hurt each other equally. Well, not equally. I'm gonna be honest with you. We hurt China way more. If we stop buying from China, China's whole economy goes under overnight. Nobody purchases more from China than us. 30% of their exports purchases comes from the United States. So they can't survive without us. But I'll tell you one thing, though, that does hurt our farmers. But the thing is, we can decimate their farmers if we wanted to. I mean, we could just stop buying all agriculture altogether and start diversifying with other countries and just decimate them that way. But hey, 100% tariffs on their products, so that would destroy most of their industries.
The Farm Credit Bureau, is that coming together?
That's possible. You know, I know he's looking into it, and they're looking at interest rates, which really skyrocketed for farmers under President Biden. A lot of input costs skyrocketed.
Yeah.
We have a bumper crop this year. So all of this has come together in a little bit of a perfect storm. And so that's why we're looking not only at the Farm Credit Bureau, but other tools as well.
And finally, how about the market reaction to all of this? The Wall Street Journal said that Friday's slide was really not massive by historical standards, but, quote, its breadth and its focus on red-hot tech shares and smaller banks rattled some analysts and portfolio managers who had come to believe that the 2025 market advance had grown immune to trade war tensions. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all...
Hold on, what? Hold on now. Let's see here.
Red hot tech shares and smaller banks rattled some analysts and portfolio managers who had come to believe that the 2025 market advance had grown immune to trade war tensions. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, I think that it's common when the Chinese take a broad action like this, purporting to control the world's technology supply chains and have a veto on anything we want to send from America to Mexico or Europe to Australia. I think that is a normal reaction for the markets to have some concern. That being said, these measures aren't in place yet. The tariffs aren't in place yet. It's scheduled for...
Yeah, because we're going to see if China's still going to carry out, because they wanted to start this control of rare earth minerals from all these other countries. They wanted to start this on November 1st, and they was going to do this behind our back. They was going to catch us completely off guard in November, but the countries that China was threatening, because China had to threaten countries to limit their supply of rare earth minerals to the United States. Why? Because they would be missing out on profits. They'd be missing out on business. So limiting their supply, a lot of these guys couldn't do, and they'd be shooting themselves in the foot. So they went ahead and snitched to Donald Trump, let Donald Trump know of the plan, and that's why he enacted his 100% on Chinese goods on the 1st, because And that puts them at 130 on the first. And this is what happens that when Trump pretty much puts decoupling tariffs on China, it destroys their industries, it destroys their factories. Let's be real, those start closing down. It skyrockets their unemployment. They can't handle that. I'm gonna be honest with you. China cannot handle high tariffs. And here's the sad reality of it, because their businesses need to sell to America. And if they don't sell to America, they go out of business. Because sadly, I mean, the buying power of their own citizens isn't enough to keep them afloat. Like, they can't just solely buy from themselves or solely just bank off the Chinese like we can bank off ourselves. Like, we got enough money to sustain our companies and companies abroad. These guys barely got enough money or spending power to sustain their own companies inside their countries. It ain't just China.
For November 1st. So I think we'll see the markets calm this coming week as they see things settle out, hopefully.
And have you heard any response from China about the 100% tariffs that the president threatened to take effect November 1st? Or are they planning any additional tariffs on their end?
Well, their announcement today, they didn't announce anything specific. Again, I think that they've realized they've overstepped. And remember, we've had a deal in place with China since...
No, it's not about overstepping. They got found out. They didn't think nobody was going to snitch on them. That's the problem with China. They sent out a whole lot of secret letters, threatening letters to other countries, telling them, yeah, you're going to limit your rare earth mineral supply or limit your rare earth mineral sales to the United States. And they snitched on them. They sent the letter right to Trump showing proof that this came from Xi or the CCP, and they want us to limit our exports. Like, Trump, here it is. This is the proof. Trump said, okay, great. They want to start this on November 1st. We can put 100% tariff on them on November 1st.
Where we said, we'll keep our broad tariffs in check. If you keep sending us rare earth magnets, we've kept our broad tariffs in check, and they've decided to expand their controls on rare earths. So clearly there's a violation of our agreement there. So it makes sense that the president would take an enforcement action or propose an enforcement action. So there's certainly room for off-ramps here for China. And the president continues to have a great relationship with President Xi. We talk to our counterparts, but we need to make sure that we can find a way back to the stable situation we were in a week ago.
All right. We will continue to watch it. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too.
Hey, it's Will Kane.
Now let's go ahead and get into the Scott Besson interview, and then we're going to get more into what's going on in China. And, China and how in this portrayal to Russia, because they didn't left Russia in the cold, in the Russian cold. Like, whew.
Everything seems so small when you consider what President Trump has achieved here in terms of getting those hostages back home and peace in the Middle East. Your reaction to what President Trump is saying this morning?
Maria, it's an incredible moment for the people of Israel, for the entire Middle East, and for the American people. We should be so proud of what President Trump has done and the force for good in the world that is the United States. And its leadership, whether it's economic leadership, military leadership, diplomatic leadership, it's an incredible moment. But, Maria, I will take you back to last week. And
bro, Gabbett, you're extremely uninformed. If you truly think that's going to happen, dog, you don't know what's going on in China then. That's the problem with people who are cheerleaders for China. They're so hyper-focused on America, and what's going on here is that they don't know what's going on in China and how their economy is already done for. Like, there really is no saving these guys. That's why they made such a drastic action. If you really knew what was going on in China, you would understand that this move showed so much weakness in their economy, if you really knew. But don't worry, keep watching. You'll find out.
You and I were talking earlier about these Chinese exports controls, and we have approached a relationship with China with great respect. The Chinese are very big on symbolism, and I can tell you it was highly inappropriate for them to announce these export controls on the day that the peace deal was announced and overshadow that.
And I'm wondering if that was by design, Secretary. The Chinese government doesn't do anything by coincidence. The fact that President Trump has clinched this incredible peace deal, and they come out in the middle of all of this last week on Thursday night and say, oh, we are going to be tightening our restrictions on rare earth minerals, knowing that this is one of the cruxes of the fight between the two nations, does not seem coincidental to me. Your thoughts?
Well, Maria, it could have been for several reasons. One, the Chinese economy is doing very poorly, and maybe they're trying to take focus off of that. Two, China, as opposed to the United States.
I mean, even Scott Besson said the Chinese economy is doing very poorly. They're lying on their numbers. They have huge unemployment. There's protests going on because of all the factory shutdowns. And then the factories that are staying afloat haven't paid their people in months. So, yeah, a lot of people really don't know what's going down in China. Like, their economy is screwed. And honestly, it's gotten hit after hit. Like, their housing bubble popped in 2022. I mean, of course, COVID. Then their housing bubble popped in 2022. Then they get into this trade war with us. And to be honest with you, their economy never really did cover from all their, half of the people's assets disappearing in the housing bubble collapsing. So, yeah, China's going through a lot, and they only make it look good through their inner cities, and of course, showing the lives of those who are actually doing okay. Because out of 1.4 billion people, maybe only 100 million is doing all right. So, you sure you guys want to be like China? You want to shake pom poms for China? Because y'all don't even know what's really going on there. But don't worry, like I said, keep watching, you'll find out.
The United States is pushing for peace in the world. China is financing war. China purchases of Russian oil is financing the Russian war machine. They purchase Iranian oil, and we have been calling them out on that. So maybe it was to distract from that. And three, maybe it was a mistaken attempt to try to gain leverage before the two leaders meet in Korea in October. And I can tell you, trying to get leverage in front of a meeting with Donald Trump is a bad idea. And he turned the tables with his two very good tweets on Friday, talking about raising tariffs and implementing in any sanctions that we need to.
Yeah.
So it was a miscalculation, but we are communicating now. I am confident that we can move forward.
Yeah, so what does that look like? Are you saying that the meeting between Xi Jinping and President Trump is still on, and you are going to wait to implement any of these sharper tariffs that you've discussed here, 100% tariff on Chinese imports, until after that meeting on November 1st?
Yes, that's the signal that the president has given. He did say in his in his truth post, that he could always pull it forward. But the idea is to give them time to meet and talk this out. They have a very good relationship. And I believe that the president thinks that this may have been, from a lower level official. The Chinese system is quite brittle. So this may not have come from Xi Jinping himself. This may have come, from a Chinese hardliner. They have hardliners on their side too, who are always trying to undermine the relationship.
I see. Interesting. And of course, here we are entering a third week of the government shutdown. Again, seems very, very small compared to what we're hearing from our commander-in-chief this morning. But I want to get your take on why this is happening, because the Smithsonian museums, the research centers, the National Zoo, all temporarily closing yesterday. Federal employees receiving notices that they will be laid off in 60 days. But my sources are telling me that the whole reason that the Democrats are doing this is because they want to be there for next weekend's No King's March in Washington, where you're going to see these activists march in Washington this coming Saturday. One senator told me that the groups are threatening Minority Leader Schumer, telling him, you better do this and keep the government closed or we will make you irrelevant. And so do you believe that's what this is about? It's more theatrics than really any, marriage to these Obamacare subsidies?
Well, Maria, the American people are being held hostage by Chuck Schumer's poll numbers. Why did he go with a clean CR in the spring? What's changed is his poll numbers versus AOC have collapsed. And if in fact they are waiting for this No Kings protest, no kings means no paychecks. no paychecks, and no government. And Maria, I think the dirty secret here for why this has dragged on for so long is the Democratic friends in the mainstream media have been downplaying this shutdown. And this is getting serious. It's starting to affect the real economy. It's starting to affect people's lives. And if this were the Republicans who were engineering the shutdown, and make no mistake that Mike Johnson, Speaker Johnson, and the House passed a clean CR. Leader Thune calls a vote every night, and 3 Democrats have crossed the aisle. John Fetterman, I believe, was on your show yesterday.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Senator Fetterman said, we got to reopen the government. So we just need a few more Democrats to get away from the radicalized left. But clearly, that's the wing that's taken over the party, and they've been unable to stop President Trump in the courts, in the media. So now they are using a government shutdown to stop.
I mean, the Dems are kind of mad because the Supreme Court gave Trump the right to what? Strip deportation protection of Venezuelans. And I mean, y'all lost your mind over that one. I mean, here's the thing. We told you Trump was going to win. We told you guys Trump was going to win the Supreme Court rulings. And yeah, and once again, I mean, you guys kind of lose the argument, or you guys finally move past the argument that, oh, Trump goes against the courts. He don't listen to the court. Well, sadly, the only court he truly got to listen to is the Supreme Court. And they're in his favor.
Initiatives. President Trump is doing peace deals, trade deals, and tax deals.
Hard
And
to say.
the mainstream media refuses to respond to how serious this situation is because they don't want to embarrass the Democrats. If this was a Republican shutdown, this would sound like it was the end of the world.
You know, one of my sources told me that they have huge IPOs that they want to go forward with. They've got deals that they are waiting to take public, and yet they can't do any filings because the Securities and Exchange Commission is closed. So, Secretary, at some point, this becomes a serious national security issue, does it not? And an economic issue for America.
It's a security issue. It's an economic issue. And look, Maria, yesterday was National Farmers Day. This administration wants to do something for our farmers. China has chosen to decouple on the ag side, which just tells you, the other thing that President Trump and everyone in the cabinet is working on is food security. But the Chinese have, unfortunately, turned our soybean farmers into pawns. They're trying to manipulate them, and our farmers overwhelmingly back President Trump. They know that he has their back, and we can't implement the programs. We want to stabilize the farmers' finances. We want to use the Farm Credit Bureau to give them the credit for next year's plantings, but they want to cater to the radical left. As I call them, the 2 guys from Brooklyn, the Schumers and Jeffries. They don't care about the farmers. All they care about are their jobs. I read the other day that one of these hard left New York City councilmen may primary the Representative Jeffries. So what a mess.
Well, look, again, it is absolutely
Agreed.
shameful as we watch President Trump talk in Jerusalem to the Israeli parliament. We've got these 2 senators telling me what this is really about, and the Democrats are wanting this shutdown to continue so that they could show that they, quote unquote, got Trump and fought Trump by being part of this No Kings rally, which is planned on Saturday in Washington next week. Here's Bill Hagerty from Tennessee and John Fetterman from Pennsylvania. Watch this.
But Chuck Schumer's waiting, I hear, until next Saturday when the big march in Washington takes place, the No Kings March. This way he can appease the radical left of his party to show that he's willing to fight Trump to every end. No matter what happens to the American public, he's willing to sacrifice all of that for his own political career.
So you think that this is all political and he just wants to be able to go on that No Kings rally and stomp his chest saying, I'm fighting
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's all it's about. It's all about fighting Trump because, well, AOC and Jasmine Crockett has been criticizing the Dems, saying that, well, oh, they're weak. They're not fighting Trump hard enough. Just wait till I get in there, talking real tough. And, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are in a bad spot because they're got to kind of be the mature ones, even though they're not being it now. But usually they're the mature ones and they're the ones who actually work with us. Now they're acting like AOC and Jasmine Crockett who don't even want to talk.
Trump, regard
or just make unreasonable demands, or just say, oh, we're negotiating, but you're hardlining on your stance. You're not willing to meet nobody in the middle. So shout out to the radical left, and shout out to liberal women cucking the guys in the Democratic Party. I mean, well, makes sense.
regardless of what's happening with citizens who are not getting paid.
Maria, you summed it up. I think that's an excellent summary. This is all about politics. It's about Chuck Schumer's political future.
It's not about who's losing or who's getting more of the blame or anything. You know, like for me, what I really cares about is it's a core responsibility for me as a U.S. Senator to vote to make sure and keep our government open, and then we can figure out all these other priorities. That's democracy. That's democracy. Shutting our government down, that's the wrong message for the world, for Americans as well, too.
Secretary, but I know that President Trump is also dealing with this, and you have made plans to ensure that the military does get paid. Secretary, where does that money come from? Is this tariff revenue? How will you manipulate the money so that our military does not miss a paycheck on October 15th?
Well, Maria, as Vice President Vance said yesterday on your show, we're having to prioritize payments. So we are having to hold back on some payments so that the brave men and women in the U.S. military can get paid. So we are having to shuffle things around. We are having to furlough workers here in D.C. and around the country. We had friends visiting from my hometown. They had to run to the zoo here in D.C. on Saturday because now it's closed down. Nothing is open, and the Democrats who like bigger government don't seem to like the government when their poll numbers are bad. Again, Maria, no king.
Well, they don't seem to like the courts either when the rulings don't go in their favor. It kind of sounds like they're spoiled kids and they flip the chessboard just because they're losing.
Equals no paychecks.
Yeah. Secretary, you have approached our relationship with China with a practical look at the reality of the situation. And what I mean by that is that we're still very reliant on the Chinese supply chain. Now, you've announced that you are getting supply chains back to America. You've also announced stakes in certain companies. And I want to get your take about that because the DOD acquired a stake representing 15% of MP Materials. Tell us why this is so important, because I know that there are rare earth minerals in the United States and across the world, but it is the refining of those rare earth that happens in China. And that's what we need to bone up in America. How are you looking at the coming couple of years in terms of creating an independence in this country so that we're no longer reliant on the Chinese supply chain?
Well, Maria, now that we've seen, we've
been weaning ourselves off of the Chinese supply chain. We've been working deals with other countries. These peace deals, if you look through them, we worked in a rare earth minerals deal in there. So we've been trying to wane ourselves off of China. China didn't realize it. That's one of the reasons why they sent around that letter to try to stop other countries from helping us out or wane ourselves off them.
During COVID, that was...
I mean, hey, look, man, if they can go ahead and pull that BS with soybeans, I mean, why can't we do the same thing with rare earth minerals? Fair is fair. Right.
A preview,
Glad y'all agree
that China can become an unreliable supplier to the world for whether it's critical minerals, critical supplies. And with their announcement last week, they've taken on the whole world, and we'll see whether they want to be a reliable supplier. What we've done here in the U.S., this is a 3-decade problem in the making. The U.S. used to control rare earth processing and refining, and the Chinese bought a U.S. company. It was required that it was kept in the U.S. for 5 years. 5 years and a day, they moved it to China, and they have a stranglehold on, as you said, the refining and processing. Rare earths in general are not rare, they're everywhere, but it is the refining and processing. And what's happened over the past 2 decades is anytime a refining or processing facility has been set up either in the U.S. or in a free market country, the Chinese come in and undercut the price. So we have invested in Mountain Pass, and we are going to do the equivalent of an Operation Warp Speed to get security in this rare earth processing, and in this at the same time, we are going to guarantee.
Yeah, so it's not about rare earth, guys. It's about rare earth processing. So we got rare earths, but we just don't process them. And if we did, I mean, then we'd be able to wane ourselves off of China a whole lot easier. That's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get to there. We're trying to still figure things out because we can't do it like China, because China don't give a damn about their environment. They don't give a damn about their people. So yeah, we gotta work a little magic with that, because refining rare earth minerals is taxing on the environment. I mean, it's causing cancer in the citizens who live around the area where it's being refined, and the people who's working there is getting cancer. So yeah, we got to work out some health things, environmental things. You want to know why? Because we care about our people. Unlike China, who don't give a damn, and they'll do whatever for the money or for production reasons. I mean, hey, if it means skirting safety, why not?
Floor prices for the processing, for the refining, because you can't have a free market when there is a non-free market state actor destroying capacity.
This is so important, Secretary, and we've talked in the past about how you are monetizing the U.S.'s balance sheet by taking stakes in various companies like Intel, for example, things that are national security issues like semiconductors or pharmaceuticals. Was there a discussion about taking a stake in NVIDIA?
Not that I was ever part of, Maria. NVIDIA is the most valuable company in the world. The management's incredible. The Intel stake, the Intel stake was a conversion of a grant that was made to Intel. So President Trump, I was sitting in the Oval Office when he met with the Intel CEO, along with Secretary Lutnick, and President Trump said, why don't we turn this into an asset for the American people? And as I said many times.
All right, guys, now let's go ahead and get into China. But first, let's get into the U.S. is planning a $37 trillion crypto reset. Now, you ain't seen this from me, but I ain't gonna lie, this man put in some good work, and this actually is most likely might be the plan, and it's looking like it's our plan, because I don't see us doing this any other reason but to pull this off right here. All right, guys, check this video out.
At the recent economic forum, one of Putin's closest advisors dropped a bombshell. He said that the U.S. is preparing to use crypto and stablecoins to secretly devalue its entire $37 trillion debt. Now, he claims America will put that debt into a crypto cloud they would then use to reset the system. So basically leaving the rest of the world holding the bag. Now, this is Anton Kobiakov, right? We're talking about. He's a senior advisor to Vladimir Putin for over a decade. This isn't some random official. This is Putin's guy. And you know what? He's actually right, but it's just not in the way that you would think. You see, Russia thinks we're going to print digital dollars out of thin air, but that's not actually how this works. But the devaluation part, the reset part, that's absolutely happening. Now, real quick, I'm Mark Moss. I've been tracking these monetary resets since the last one. And what's about to happen with stablecoins and the Genius Act that was just passed through is way bigger than what Russia even understands. So let's break down what's really going on. You ready? Let's go. All right, so let's look at exactly what Russia is saying here. Back at the Eastern Economic Forum, again, Anton Kobiakov, and remember, this is Putin's senior economic advisor, right, for over a decade. Now, he's been in the room for every major Russian economic decision. He's laid out this theory. Again, he said the U.S. is trying to rewrite the rules of the gold and crypto markets. His exact words were that America's ultimate goal is to push the whole world into what he called the crypto cloud. Now, think about that phrase. Crypto cloud. He's saying once the world's money is digital, once it's in stable coins, once the U.S. moves its $37 trillion national debt into these digital assets, and then boom, devalues it, wipes the slate clean, while everyone else is holding the bag. But here's why this matters. This isn't just some conspiracy theory from our enemies, right? He's been architecting Russia's economic strategy since 2012. So when he speaks, it's not speculation. It's what Russia's leadership actually believes. And like I said, he's kind of right about devaluation. He's actually dead right. The U.S. absolutely plans to devalue the debt. Now, We've done it before. We've done it actually multiple times. But I think Russia just misunderstands it a little bit, right? They think we're going to create stable coins out of thin air like we print dollars. But that's not how stable coins work. It's actually way more powerful. So let me show you what's really happening. 1933, Executive Order 6102. President Roosevelt, he doesn't ask Congress. He doesn't negotiate. He signs one piece of paper, the executive order, and boom, confiscates America's gold at $20.67 per ounce. And then what happens? Overnight, he revalues it to $35 an ounce. Now, if you do the math, that's a 69% devaluation. One signature, 69% is gone. Think about what that means. You had $100 in savings, and now it buys you $31 worth of stuff. But the government's debt, they just got 69% cheaper to pay it back. Now, it's not the only time it's happened. It's happened many times since then. If we fast forward to 1971, President Richard Nixon closed the gold window. He basically rug pulled the entire world by removing the gold backing of US dollars. And since then, the dollar's lost 96% of its purchasing power. 96%. Again, 1985, the Plaza Accords. We had 5 countries get together and agree to, again, devalue the dollar by 25% in 2 years. And it worked. A 25% devaluation. It was coordinated. It was planned. It was executed. So when Russia says we're about to reset the system again, they're looking back at history, right? They see the pattern. They understand why it has to happen. Now, about every 40 to 50 year cycles, they see this coming due, and right now, we're due. But what they're maybe not understanding so much is that we don't need gold confiscation this time, right? We don't need international agreements. We have a new mechanism, and it's already in motion. How do you devalue dollars when you're not on a gold standard? Well, it's simple, right? You just continue to expand the money supply. If we look at the M2 chart, just from January 2020, we had $15.5 trillion. Today, we have $21.9 trillion. That's a 40% expansion in just 4 years. 40% in 4 years. If we look at everything else, gas prices up 50%, home prices up 50%. The median home in America costs 50% more. Pretty interesting. Property insurance up 70%. Gold 35%. Bitcoin, it's up over 250%. See the pattern? When you create $6 trillion, new dollars out of thin air, but you don't create any new houses, you don't create any new
Inflation,
oil, any new
price.
anything, right? Then the prices start to adjust. The dollars start chasing the same goods and prices go up. So your grocery bill, food's up, right? 25 to 30%. Steak, milk, eggs, it's all up 30% plus. But that's not inflation, it's devaluation. Your dollar buys you less. And here's the key. That $37 trillion of debt, it's still $37 trillion on paper. But what does $37 trillion buy today versus what it bought in 2020? It buys 40% less, right? The government just cut the real debt burden by 40% without paying back a single dollar, right? Without having to default, without having to negotiate with anybody. They just printed the way out. But here's the problem. The world, of course, sees this, right? It's not that China and Russia don't understand this. It's why China's dumping treasuries. It's why Japan's dumping treasuries. It's why foreign ownership of U.S. debt dropped from 34% to 23%. Sort of like when Nixon had to close the gold window. So the U.S. needs new buyers of debt. Cue it in, enter the stable coins. Russia thinks we're going to print stable coins like we print dollars. But of course, that's not how this works, right? Every USDT or every USDC, somebody has to deposit a real dollar to get back a stable coin, right? It's a one-to-one peg or one-to-one back. Now, the Genius Act that was just passed this year, it mandates every stable coin must be backed by U.S. treasuries or cash. No exceptions. Okay, so wait, if we can't print them, if every stablecoin needs a real dollar behind it, then how do we devalue the debt, right? How does this actually help the U.S. government? This is the part maybe Russia doesn't seem to get, right? They're thinking about it just a little bit wrong. It's not about printing. It's about what those dollars are doing and where they're coming from. You see, when you give Tether a dollar, they don't just put it in a vault. They go buy U.S. treasuries with it. When Circle gets a dollar, same thing. They go buy treasuries with it. So this creates a perpetual demand for U.S. debt. Now, the more the stablecoins grow, the more the treasuries they have to go buy. right? It's automatic. It's built into the system. But that's just part one. The real trick is where those dollars are going to come from. And that's what I want to show you. If stablecoins need real dollars, how does this help the U.S.? Well, it's simple. Every stablecoin issuer has to buy treasuries. That's the law under the new Genius Act. You want to issue $1 billion in USDT? Well, you need $1 billion in T-bills. If you look at the numbers right now, Tether's holding $127 billion in U.S. treasuries. Circle holds $55 billion. Combined, they're the 18th largest holder of U.S. debt globally, bigger than Germany, bigger than South Korea. And where it starts to get interesting is Scott Bessent, he's the Trump's Treasury Secretary. He projects stablecoins to hit $3.7 trillion by 2030. China's been dumping treasuries down $1 trillion to $756 billion. Japan's selling. Foreign ownership dropped from 34% to 25%. But stablecoins, they have to buy it, right? It's required. Every dollar that goes into USDT or USDC becomes demand for U.S. debt. So that person in Argentina trying to escape inflation, they buy stablecoins, USDT. That business in Turkey avoiding the lira, they use USDC. They all become treasury buyers, right? They're funding the deficit without even knowing it. 3.7 trillion in guaranteed treasury demand. That's the plan. But here's the question. Where do all those dollars actually come from? Now, I made a video a few months ago where I talked about this. Let's go ahead and just play a clip. Let's check it out. We're talking about sterilized reserves. What we're talking about is that the Federal Reserve has given the banks a bunch of money, but they don't want the money to get into the economy because it would cause massive inflation. If you dump all this money into the economy and people go start spending it on vacations and trips and cars and going out to eat and things like that, the prices will rise. So what they've done is they pay the banks to leave it there. Keep it out of circulation. That's why it's called sterilized. All right.
I mean, as I say, consumer credit. Well, when I say the money is used to spend on consumer needs or consumer credit or consumer spending, inflation is going to go up. But if it's used to create goods and services, then there's no inflation. So if you can create money, but if you use it for the wrong things, then it's going to screw everybody.
There it is. Sterilized reserves. Let me break down what that means. Now, right now, U.S. banks have $3.2 trillion sitting at the Fed, right? This is excess reserves. This is money that's been parked there since back in quantitative easing back in 2008 for 14 years. And it's kind of
like, if you know, the Genius Act was, I believe, the Genius Act was signed. So all this is already being set up. I mean, it's already into law to be set up. If you didn't know, well, now you know.
Dead money, right? It can't be lent, right? It's not in circulation. It just sits there earning IOER or interest on excess reserves. And that's about 0.5%. And here's the mechanism. The Genius Act says that banks can use these Fed deposits as stablecoin backing. They could take $1 billion in excess reserves, back $1 billion in stablecoins, and it's the same money, but now it's moving. 3.2 trillion, right? That's been frozen since 2008, but now it can start to enter the market. Not new money, the same money, but just moved, activated. Now, when the 3.2 trillion starts circulating, prices start to adjust, right? The dollar starts to weaken. The $37 trillion in debt, it starts to get devalued, but not through printing, through activation of reserves, right? That's maybe the part Russia seems to misunderstand, right? We're not creating more money. We're unleashing what's been trapped. Now, if we look back at the rest of the world and what they're doing, we can see that they understand this. Gold just hit $3,777 an ounce.
4,000 now.
In September. It's an all-time high. Central banks are buying gold at the fastest pace since 1967. 4 straight years over 1,000 tons. I mean, think about this. 2022, 1,082 tons. That was the highest since 67. But then again, 2023, 1,037 tons. 2024, 1,045 tons. 2025, already sitting at 669 tons. That's just through Q3. Now, this is on pace for another 1,000-ton year. And who's buying? Well, everybody's buying, right? Poland bought 67 tons this year. They're the biggest buyer of 2025. The Czech Republic, they bought gold 29 straight months. They tripled their reserves since 2023. Turkey, 26 times consecutive months of buying. And China, well, they've added at least, 36 tons in 9 straight months. And that's just what they report, right? The real numbers probably double or triple that. These aren't gold bugs. These are central banks, right? These are the most conservative institutions.
Problem with China is that people are also trying to cash in on their gold because they're realizing that, well, China's currency is failing as well. It's always been failing. But yeah, people are trying to cash in their gold and they're finding fool's gold when they try to cash in for gold bars at China. So China's even having a problem, keeping its gold. And the problem is because all the people are trying to liquidate their assets and get gold. Well, China don't want to give up their gold, so they're giving out fake gold to their citizens.
Institutions on earth. Gold bugs. These are central banks, right? These are the most conservative institutions on earth. And they're all doing the same thing, dumping dollars and buying gold. Why? Because, of course, they see what's coming, right? When Poland triples their gold reserves, they're not speculating on price, right? When Turkey buys for 26 straight months, they're not trading that, right? They're protecting themselves. The sterilized reserves, the 3.7 trillion in stablecoins, they see all that, right? They know the dollar's about to get devalued, and they're not going to wait around to hold the bag. That's why gold's at $3,700 an ounce, right? The world sees what's happening here. Now, what about Bitcoin? What about the strategic Bitcoin reserves everyone's talking about? Well, the reality is Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, he kind of killed it, right? He said, quote, no taxpayer dollars for Bitcoin. So the SBR bill, is it dead on arrival? Well, think about it this way. In 2022, the CHIPS Act, it passed. And the reason why is because the U.S. government needed semiconductors. But did they just go buy Intel stock? No. They gave Intel $50 billion in subsidies and grants, and then they took warrants. They took an equity position in Intel.
Which is crazy because that's what people judge Trump for doing. Like, oh, well, why is he investing into a company? Isn't it weird for the government to own stake in a company? I mean, I ain't say nothing when Biden did it.
The same playbook here. Look at this pattern here. Private innovation happens first, like SpaceX goes and builds the rockets, then NASA contracts them, right? Amazon goes and builds AWS, and then the CI uses the servers, right? We have the private sector takes the risk, and then the government is able to use or capture the value. So the strategic Bitcoin reserve, maybe it's not dead. Maybe it's just not happening the way you think. Maybe it was never going to work the way that you thought. Maybe we're already building the Bitcoin reserves through companies like MicroStrategy and Marathon and Riot and through the ETFs. Maybe the government just hasn't taken their cut yet. All right, but let's just bring this all full circle, right? Putin's advisor is right. We're going to devalue the debt, but not by printing stablecoins, by activating the 3.7 trillion in the sterilized reserves, by creating 3.7 trillion in treasury demand, by exporting the inflation globally. And when is this going to happen? Well, Scott Bessent said by 2030. But I think it's going to happen much faster. Stablecoins are growing rapidly. As a matter of fact, they grew 32% in just 7 months. So at that rate, we're going to hit 3.7 trillion by 2027. And of course, the world sees it coming. That's why gold's at $3,700 an ounce. That's why central banks bought 4,000 tons in 4 years. That's why China is buying gold and not U.S. treasuries, right? The reset's happening. It's not an event. It's a process. All the pieces are being put into place right now. The Genius Act, it's already law. The reserves are already there. The mechanism's already in place. Okay, so what are you and I going to do about this? Well, simple. Sort of like the central banks, we don't hold cash. We don't hold U.S. dollars. We don't hold U.S. treasuries. We don't hold fiat currency. We're holding hard assets. We're holding gold. We're holding Bitcoin, of course. Minerals like lithium, right? They've all been doing great. Real estate works. But of course, Bitcoin's my favorite because it moves the fastest when liquidity expands. Right? It always happens.
All right. But now you kind of get the whole strategy, what's going on. And honestly, well, I'm not really too concerned. Well, with the debt right now, because it does seem like we are trying to create a shifty little turn in our monetary processing. All right, though, let's get over here to China Observer. I was going to get into China for a little bit.
25, a cargo ship loaded with antimony, copper concentrate, and rare earth elements like neodymium and praseodymium set sail from a Pakistani port. It arrived at a U.S. East Coast port in early October, and the goods were then transported by land to Missouri. There, they were delivered to U.S. Strategic Metals, USSM. This shipment was historic, marking Pakistan's first ever export of strategic minerals to the U.S. It also marked the beginning of a major cooperation between the two nations, following the signing of a $500 million framework agreement in September. However, this shipment of rare earth minerals turned out to be a game changer, igniting the second round of the U.S.-China trade war. As we know, rare earth minerals are China's primary bargaining chip in the U.S.-China trade talks, seen as a key countermeasure to the U.S. semiconductor blockade. At this critical moment in negotiations, Pakistan, a close ally of China, wanted to bypass China and directly export rare earths to the U.S., leaving China blindsided. What made it worse for China was that Pakistan was using Chinese technology and equipment to extract these minerals, only to turn around and sell them to the U.S. Pakistani media hailed this move as the dawn of a new era for South Asian mining. But Chinese netizens were furious, accusing Pakistan of betrayal. Not only had Pakistan turned against their big brother, but they had also stabbed them in the back by dealing with their rival. This backstab was a wake-up call for China's strategic alertness. On October 9th, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce and General Administration of Customs issued 4 documents imposing new restrictions on rare earth extraction technologies. These included requiring export permits, banning certain heavy rare earth metal alloys, and adding synthetic diamond powders to the restricted list. This was a direct response to Pakistan's export of rare earths to the U.S., seen as a calculated revenge to their brother turning against them. However, China's retaliation, seemingly aimed at Pakistan, was also a move to block the U.S. from securing its rare earth supply. This angered President Trump, sparking the second round of the U.S.-China trade war. The Trump administration vowed to impose 100% tariffs on Chinese goods, and the trade truce agreement between the two nations was on the brink of collapse. This outcome was unbearable for China. It was a double loss, facing attacks from both sides. To trace the roots of this incident, we go back to the signing.
So they couldn't even get Pakistan to ride along with it. Because like I said, a lot of countries be shooting themselves in the foot. And Pakistan was like, yo, we're not doing that. We'd rather just work with the U.S., snitch on you, and let's see what they do. But all right, now let's go ahead and get over to here because, you know, as Pakistan betrays China, well, China betrays Russia. I mean, man, it seems like the whole little alliance is falling apart.
China's latest move may have just killed Russia's failing economy. That may sound like a dramatic statement, but it's not an exaggeration. Recently, Beijing quietly ended a hidden subsidy system that had kept Moscow's key export market alive for years. As a result, one of Russia's last major revenue streams is now collapsing. In this video, we'll show you how China canceled what was essentially a bailout to Russia's war-struck economy.
Can't afford it no more.
How that decision undercuts Russia's monetary base, and why Putin now finds himself stranded and exposed. Let's start with what actually changed. In September, China ended its unofficial subsidies for the state-owned companies importing copper and nickel from Russia. I say unofficial because these subsidies have never been announced publicly. They operated quietly as rebates and discounts, making it cheaper for Chinese firms to buy Russian metal, which they did in large quantities. This allowed them to pay less for the metals, resell at normal prices, and pocket the difference. It was a simple arrangement. You help me, I help you. And because of this, Russia's metal industry received a backdoor boost that kept it competitive on the global market. The subsidies weren't just helpful, they were the backbone of Russia's metals industry. For years, they acted like an invisible bridge, keeping exports alive when most of the world had slammed its doors shut. When Europe and the United States imposed sanctions, Russia lost access to its key markets almost overnight. Western companies stopped buying Russian metals, including copper and nickel. The London Metal Exchange and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange banned Russian metals entirely. Overnight, China became the only major buyer still willing to pick up the phone. But China didn't just buy. It quietly kept the entire system breathing with its financial incentives that made the deals profitable even when the risks were high. Those hidden perks kept Russian factories humming, miners paid, and the ruble from sinking even faster. In truth, it wasn't a partnership. It was life support disguised as trade. So when Beijing decided to pull the plug this past September, it wasn't just cutting costs, it was sending a message. China no longer wanted to carry Russia's struggling export economy on its back. At the risk of sounding like a bad romance song, to understand what Russia just lost, you need to first appreciate what it had. The numbers tell the story very clearly here. Earlier this year, Russia saw a sharp rise in metal exports to China. Copper sales jumped by 66%, and nickel shipments more than doubled compared to the same period the year before. This system was so effective that at one point, Russian aluminum was selling more than 20% below global market rates. Looking at these figures, you don't need to be a genius to figure out that the Chinese subsidies were very effective. They thoroughly created a win-win setup. Russia kept its factories running and its export numbers strong. China secured cheap raw materials for its industries. But now, all of that is gone. and Beijing is quietly stepping back. Officially, no one is saying why, but still, it's not hard to see what's going on. On paper, China doesn't want to rely too heavily on a country that's locked out of major global markets. The Chinese economy has its own challenges to manage, and keeping Moscow afloat isn't a priority. By cutting these subsidies, China is shielding its own industries from price swings and supply risks, and in the process, it's letting Russia sink. However, there's also another not-so-discussed reason. Simply put, Russia is a mess, and China does not want to be dragged down with it. We'll discuss this angle more in just a couple of minutes, but as you might imagine, the impact of this decision has been immediate. Without the discounts, Russian metals have become more expensive and less appealing. Almost overnight, they have simply lost their edge. This has led Chinese buyers to start looking elsewhere, turning to suppliers in Southeast Asia, Africa, and Latin America. These regions offer cheaper labor, fresh reserves, and fewer political risks. And once buyers shift, it's hard to win them back. This leaves Russia now stuck with overpriced metals and fewer customers. The same copper and nickel that were moving fast earlier this year are now sitting in warehouses. Exporters are struggling to close deals. Profits are shrinking. And in global trade, when you lose your price advantage...
Yo, and suppliers, they don't want to lose the importers. They do not, because it's like a contract. It could take a year or two to get that guy back if you lose them to cheaper prices. It's just something that usually these corporations or these companies just can't deal with.
You lose your place in the market.
One of the many reasons why when the tariffs hit, a lot of their factories shut down.
That's exactly what's happening. For the Kremlin, this is more than a trade hiccup. This is a blow to the core of its post-sanction survival plan. Since 2022, when Western markets slammed shut.
But all right, guys, I got to go ahead and close it down on this note, man. It's been a good one, but we're going to go ahead and end out on some jazz. Appreciate y'all for tuning in on this one.
So magic, no tricks.
And all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close it out on this one, man. Make sure you guys double tap the screen and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All right, guys, with S.E.T Media, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.